It is, and I didn't hear nor there. It's your boy, the Ray Bay, here to talk some shit.
Walking your dog. Walking your dog.
This man is on his porch. This man is on his porch. This man is on his porch. He's on his porch talking about masturbation schedule.
Walking your dog. Walking your dog.
Alhamdulillah, John. Welcome. It's Saturday night, and it's another episode of the Jawnspott. I'm Toxic Taylor, the High Priest of the Temple of John, and along with me, I have my assistant and secretary, Pukov, the Grand Temple Harlot. Would you like to introduce our guests?
Yeah, we've got in the first corner, in the red corner, we've got somebody named Otangelo, who's a pretty cool guy. What's up, Otangelo? Otangelo.
Otangelo.
Otangelo. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. And then we've also got in the blue corner, Eric.
Eric Jewell, personal
Hey,
friend of
what's
mine.
up?
But hold on, I'm not a Democrat.
Oh, he's not a Democrat.
Just making that clear.
All right. So, are we gonna fight in the mud or what? What's going on here?
No, these guys are they work. They do the same thing essentially, but in separate categories, and it's good to bring them together here, our viewers, and talk about themselves and their channels. 'Cause I've known Eric for a while, and I just met Otangelo recently. So I guess we'll go with Otangelo first. You're big on you're in Clubhouse, and I've seen you online quite a bit now at YT. Since I started following your channel, I started to find out you start to branch over into people I know and also others. So you called into the atheist experience, like myself, several times, but they let you come back over and over again.
Yeah, but in the meantime, they banned me, so I cannot call in there anymore.
So you do extensive. You do work with atheists.
Yeah, I like to have conversations with atheists, interactions, and exchange ideas, and to challenge them on their views. Yeah.
And then Eric over here, I've known for a while. He's done several debates with atheists. You did Bill Ludlow way back in the day. I remember that one. And
Well, you were around for that, were you?
yeah, it was shortly before I did mine. I think I might have done. You did your debate 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, maybe 3, maybe 4 even. It's been a while.
Yeah, I did the debate when I was a younger creationist. I did a debate with Bill Ludlow 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
On McCrae, yeah.
Well,
On McCrae's debate.
So,
Yeah,
Taylor, tell me about you.
Me?
About your trajectory, yeah.
I'm the host. This is like, I'll come on God Talk and talk about me. Well, I'll give you a brief synopsis. I was the youngest creationist for several years. I started at when I was 27. I was right, saved at the door. Right, some guys came to my door. Right, and I got kids running. I'm screaming at kids and stuff, and my ex-wife's in the kitchen cooking, and right, some missionaries came knocking on my door, like, and I met them up at the table, and I had to like, hey, I live in the ghetto, and these guys are here. They came to the ghetto and risked life and limb to come see me. So I had like a little awakening there, like, man, I could be living a better life than what I have. That's how I got into Christianity and whatnot, and that's just a little bit about me. But this show's about you guys.
well, I got saved when I was like 6 years old, man. But I'm a real hard headed guy and pretty self willed, and so I was back and forth all the time, man. Always getting into trouble, and I was the kind of guy that I believed in God. I read my Bible, God, country, nation, family, that sort of thing. God and guns, man. I cling to God and guns, but I was the kind of guy. I was self-willed too, so I would get myself into trouble all the time, being disobedient, and I'd say, "God, get me out of this crap I got myself back into." And I'll do right. I'll straighten up. I'll do this. I'll do that. And he would, and I would for a while, and then I would slide right back out and get myself into more trouble and work out my deals with God. And eventually, I began to grow up, man. You get tired of stepping into your own dog piles. You know what I mean? So eventually, I grew up, but I've always defended God. I've always wanted to stand for God and do right. I'm just a fleshly, weak man at times, so that's something that I'll try to overcome. I find out that really I'm my own worst enemy many times, so I try to bear all this in mind when I'm dealing with others, and try not to take things too personally. And I try to be I know I can be strong and forceful and blunt and to the point and sarcastic. I am all that, guilty as charged. But at the same time, there's nobody out there I hate. I try to understand everybody. I love everybody, want the best for everybody. But still, I'm not afraid to just be bold and blunt and to the point. That's enough about me, though.
So you were how old? 6 when you converted?
I was like 6 years old. I really was. And you see, I had
6 or 16?
a six. I was a
So,
little kid. Yeah.
oh, okay.
I had a really interesting upbringing though, because my mom was a Christian. My grandfather was probably the best Christian influence a person could ask for. He was a real strong, quiet guy, countryman, but 100% a believer. He read his Bible every day, and he was just really strong, a lot of inner strength. And my father, on the other hand, was a pagan, and he literally worshipped demons. He had his own little altar. It was a hidden altar. I found it when I was a young man, but I knew all about it from the time I was a small child. So at 6 years old, I really literally saw both sides. I saw the power of both sides. I saw, for instance, I was diagnosed with leukemia when I was 2 years old. My church prayed for me, and I was healed. And I've been healed of several other things in my life. It's been amazing. But at the same time, I've seen things work on the dark side too. Like I said, my father was no joke. He was a literal devil worshiper, and so I saw a lot of interesting things on that side of the road too. And it's to anybody that doubts, I can say this: there's things that we don't see, that we're not aware of, that's going on around us all the time. And anybody that wants to doubt God, I would say that if you believe evil exists, you have to believe God exists. If you believe in a devil, you have to believe in a God. You have to. And to say that the invisible is our imagination, the invisible doesn't happen. It's just foolish. It's foolish to deny things you don't understand just because you've never seen it. So I deal with a lot of atheists, and I deal with a lot of agnostics. And what I try to show them is that, there's worlds that they don't understand, and they deny it, and it's just crazy. There's no grounds to deny it when most of the world has seen something on both sides of the track there. And most of the world would testify that good and evil exist. To deny it exists is, I think, just insane. But I also try to show them that the things that they trust in are wrong. the things that they trust in are overblown. Like evolution, for instance, you have people that I don't mind if people want to believe in evolution. That's fine. I have no problem with that at all. But when they go around saying evolution is a fact, and if you don't believe in evolution, you're just crazy or stupid or you're an idiot. Well, then, I have to stand there because, number one, that there's no proof for any of it. It's all overblown. They say we have all these transitional fossils. No, you don't. You have things you call transitional fossils, but not a single one of them has been scientifically tested to prove they are a transitional fossil. Not one. Not a single one. And when I challenge them to bring me one, of course they can't. But then and Craig Venter, probably the world's foremost geneticist in the entire world for the last decade, or 15 or 20 years, he states right in front of Richard Dawkins and all these people that present this as a fact, and he says, your tree of life and common descent is a fiction. It doesn't exist, and genetics prove it. But you see, you have people that just don't understand that. They just have a superficial knowledge of the things that they've been force-fed all their lives. So, sorry, this is your show. Go on.
No, it's perfect. But just for the record, so that we're all on the same page, how old do you think the Earth is? Or how old, according to your beliefs, is the Earth?
Well, actually, I believe the Earth is very old. How old? Nobody knows. Science doesn't know. They have, they can do all sorts of radiometric tests, but the radiometric tests are slanted. For instance, if you're going to use the uranium lead test, you have to assume that the sample you're using is at least 10 million years old. And then it's going to give you a reading according to that. Well, what if it's not? You know what I'm saying? What if it's not 10 million years old? Well, then you've blown your own test. So, and it's different for several of the things are like 10 million year minimum. Potassium uranium or potassium argon test is at least 600,000 years. It has to be at least 600,000 years old to test it. So it's all slanted, you see. Now, the Bible, I don't read the Bible like most Christians do anyway. In the Old Testament, I go according to the Hebrew, original Hebrew and Chaldean language. And if you go by the original Chaldean Hebrew language, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was destroyed and laid waste. And then you go through 6 days of the restoration of life and the restoration of the earth. That's what it says in the Hebrew. And then it talks about a prior age before us. It talks about ages that we don't remember. So I give room for the earth to be very old. How old, I don't know. Maybe there's been cycles of life for the last 100 billion years, we don't know. So where the Bible isn't dogmatic, I'm not dogmatic. Where it is dogmatic, that's where I am dogmatic.
What about you, Otangelo? Are you with OEC or YEC?
Well, I am a young earther. I can entertain this idea that there is a long age between Genesis 1:1 and
Hold on,
Genesis
I'm
1:2.
sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt, Otangelo. Somebody needs to mute. I'm hearing some. Maybe it's in my head, but I hear something in my.
Who's getting a call?
Ah,
That's you.
that's not me.
I'm not on Facebook.
That's you, dude.
All right, yeah. Otangelo's a young Earth creationist.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm having some trouble hearing Otangelo.
Somebody had a Facebook call, but go ahead, Otangelo.
Eric, are you having something open?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Yeah, someone has something open here. It sounds in the background.
I think
don't
it's you,
know.
Tay. Yeah, it was you.
Okay, so um, I have recently entertained that idea that there could be um, that you could put billions of years between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:3 because Genesis 1.2 says about Tohu Babohu, which would be a state of chaos, and there is an apologist which I very much respect. His name is Arnold Fruchtenbaum. He is a Messianic Jew, and he gives that interpretation that between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:3, you can insert the fall of Satan and that he destroyed the earth and left it in chaos, and that it remained in a chaotic state for billions of years. But then is the question, what about the stars? Because in the Genesis account, the stars were created on day three. So there would be no stars and only a destroyed Earth in the entire universe for billions of years. So I have kind of problems with that scenario. I cannot really appreciate or grant that it is possible. Now, I agree that we have a starlight problem. I read the younger creationist literature and the explanations which try to solve it, and I am not convinced that any model has been provided that is convincing. So, um, on the other side, I think that old Earth creationists also have their problems. The Big Bang model has recently been shown um, with the new James Webb data that the model doesn't withstand what has been shown. So in the Big Bang model, you have mature galaxies 4 or 5 billion years after the Big Bang. And the JWeb has discovered galaxies which are mature about 200 million years after the Big Bang. And if you ask a cosmologist or a physicist how he explains that, they will tell you they have no idea. So um, problems are on both sides. So I stick more to the younger creationist model. First of all, because I trust the Bible. I think it is God's revelation. I see it as authority. And if God says, I made it like this, then I see no reason why I should doubt. On the other hand, there's people which give much more weight and emphasis on what science says. And with this James Webb discovery, once again, it has demonstrated that many times science is postulating a scenario which then is overturned with new data. So um, I don't think science is so much trustworthy as many trust in what scientists say.
So you're
So,
Bible
largely, would
young
you
Earth, right?
agree
Or go ahead, Pukov. I didn't
that
mean to interrupt you.
some science, but not all, in regards to the origin of the universe and planet Earth?
Yeah, the predominant model is the Big Bang model, but it has problems. Like, for example, um, they state there was an inflation prior to the Big Bang, and that inflation, if there is no mechanism which um, actually controls the expansion rate, and then once it has suddenly expanded, it has to slow down, and it has to slow down just right. If it doesn't, then it risks to recollapse back to the singularity, or it transitions to an expansion rate of the Big Bang, which will be too fast, and then you will have no stars, no planets, no atoms, simply a void universe. And
Hmm.
there is no naturalistic mechanism which can fine-tune the expansion rate as much of the inflation epoch and then afterwards of the Big Bang expansion in order to be just right. And we had last week that conversation with Aaron Ra, where he says, well, but most of the universe doesn't host light, so why is it fine-tuned? But the thing is that you need also a right expansion rate right at the beginning. And if you don't have it finely adjusted, you have either a recollapsing universe back to the singularity, and then you have no universe, or you have a universe which expands too fast, and then you have just an empty universe. So the fact that it is just right in its expansion rate demands an explanation. And if there is basically an infinite number of different possible expansion rates, and you have just the right one which then permits the formation of atoms and planets and stars, that, in my understanding, is a very powerful argument for a designer. And even Hitchens was asked before he died what he thought was the most compelling argument on the theistic side. And he, he said that he thinks that fine tuning is a very strong argument for theism.
Okay. I gotta ask Otangelo. I feel like I keep pronouncing your name wrong, and I'm so sorry about that.
It's Otangelo.
Otangelo. Okay.
No. You pronounce it actually more correct than
Otangelo.
Otangelo?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna mess it up again. Do you have a mic that you can move like closer to your mouth? I don't know if anyone else is. If
I
it's
can
like
hear him.
fuzzy.
I'm
Is it
having a
better
hard time.
now?
I
Is it better
can
now?
I can only catch about half of what you're saying, if that.
Yeah. I want to make sure like we're all catching everything that you say. It's just it's catching a lot of like background noise.
Is
If
it
that makes
better
sense.
now?
That's so much better. Oh my god,
Okay.
that's infinitely better. That's perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that. Awesome.
I will say this though. What I did catch. I'll tell you where I would disagree, and no offense intended at all, but I will agree with you, and I'll grant you that there are old Earth creationists who have become old Earth creationists because of peer pressure of what they learn in science class, for instance. But I'm not one of those. I'm old Earth creationist because of what I gleaned from the scriptures. For instance, Ecclesiastes. The one generation comes and another generation goes, but the earth abides forever. Jeremiah chapter 4, and forever there doesn't mean like for all eternity. It means for an epically long period of time. But then you also have passages like Jeremiah chapter 4, which echoes Genesis chapter 1. And there's a portion you come to in chapter 4 there where it says, I beheld the earth, and lo, it was without form and void. And it goes through the whole thing of Genesis 1. Now, what's interesting is without form and void are two Hebrew words, tohu vabohu, which means destroyed and laid to waste. If you go to several other places where it's translated in the King James Version, it will say destroyed and laid to waste. But elsewhere. So if you look at it from that point of view, the way it's translated elsewhere, and then you look at Jeremiah chapter 4, where it says, I beheld, and lo, the earth was without form and void, or bohu by bohu, which is destroyed and laid waste. And it goes on to say, there was the cities were laid to waste. There was no more man. There were no more birds. Isaiah chapter 14 says the fruitful place has become a wilderness. So you have all these different passages that talk about a destroyed earth, an earth that was entirely destroyed. And then Revelation. So if you can look at it this way, it begins with an extinction event and the restoration of the earth and restoration of life on earth. And then if you go to Revelation, you see that same cycle two more times. Christ returns at Armageddon. And if you read up to Armageddon, you go through the seals, the trumpets, the vials, the destruction of mankind upon the earth, that we wreak havoc upon the earth and make for all kinds of extinction events there. And then when Christ returns after that extinction event, you have another restoration of the earth where he restores the earth and rules for 1,000 years. At the end of that 1,000 years, the earth is destroyed again. And then you have another restoration, a new heaven and a new earth. So you have cycle after cycle after cycle.
I think our guy froze. Oh, no, he's back. There we go.
Yeah. So it's like with the preacher, we got to get the Bible up here again, like the preacher. You guys see the episode where we had the preacher on here?
That was a fun one.
The preacher. It's the preacher.
Yeah.
The preacher.
The preacher.
But he had a constant stream of the Bible. And he was showing us, sin's eliminated. Christ died, killed all sins. If you think you're sinning, you're the devil.
Wow.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, Eric, isn't completely off. I've been older for some time until I shifted to young Earth, principally because I think that the interpretation that Yom can mean long ages is just not warranted, because it says always, and it was night and it was day, another day, and that indicates that it just says about normal, regular 24-hour days. Now, as I said previously, it is possible that you can insert these billions of years in Genesis 1.2, but I think if it would be the case, it would be more clearly exposed, and you wouldn't have to go to search in the Bible in other places in order to find some indication that we are talking here about a big interval. And that's why I mean also it says that stars were created at day 4, and if there were events prior, I mean the Earth would have had to be illuminated by sunlight, and it doesn't report that stars were created prior to day 4. So this is something which I think doesn't fit here. But
Well,
I mean, we have no problem with old Earthers, and I think all these disputes between young Earthers and where it got even hot, I think this is just meaningless, because
I agree. There shouldn't, I accept anybody if they're young Earth or old Earth. I don't really care. They're still my Christian brother and sister.
right,
But
right,
I do believe that God says something very interesting through Paul in the book of Romans, though. He says that we should be able to look at nature, at the things around us, and be able to tell everything about God, right down to the eternal Godhead and his power. And when you think about it, what is that? When you observe nature, what are you doing? Is that not the beginning of the practice of science? Yes, it is. So we should be able to look at the things around us and understand these things, understand God. And you see, what I do is I read my scriptures, and I don't just read the translation, because I think that can lead to some misgivings. Things don't always translate well. And the way our Bible was handed down to us anyway, you have the original scriptures, the original writings, and then they were scribed over in different languages and such. Like, let's say, for instance, you begin writing in Aramaic. You have your Aramaic original. Well, you hand that out and somebody wants it in Greek. So you have this Greek church, that Greek church, that Greek church. You have 10 different Greek churches that want a copy. So they each get the original for a short period of time, and one of their scribes sits there and copies it down. The next scribe sits and copies it down in the next church, and so on down through the 10 churches. But here's the thing with translation. You see, we don't always translate the same words. We don't always translate phrases exactly the same. You might have 10 different words or 10 different ways to phrase something that's being said there. When they translate For instance, you can translate word for word, which usually ends up awkward, or you can translate the idea. So if you translate the idea of what's being said, you might have 1,000 different ways to word that. So that's why you have all these different variations. But anyway, the thing is, when you're going through and you read the original, it's not like reading the translation. It's different. You get different. They focus on different things. So now, if you look at what we can tell according to geology, for instance, we can look at things. We can look at places that were struck with asteroids. There's no doubt about it. You have impact craters everywhere all across the Earth, obvious impact craters. Now, I don't agree with all the timelines, and I think that their timelines are flawed. They have no idea. They can make guesses, but at the end of the day, that's all it is. But it does tell us different things. And if you can figure different things, like what are the implications of an asteroid striking, let's say it's 10 miles wide, strikes New York City? What's going to happen? Well, you're going to have tons and billions of tons of water and debris and earth and ash and soot on top of the volcanic activity going on all around the world that it sets off, being spewed up in the upper atmosphere. And what's the first thing that happens? The lights go out, man. The sun goes out. It can't penetrate. The sun's rays cannot penetrate through. So you have total darkness. Then what happens? Okay, well, obviously plants die. You have an immediate kill-off in the zones that all of this was able to affect immediately. And then all the plants around the world die. So all the plant eaters die. Then the meat eaters die. So you have all of this extinction going on. So what's the first thing that happens after that? The atmosphere begins to clear, right? Let there be light. Poof, there was light. The atmosphere begins to clear. Then what happens? Okay. Well, the waters, you have tsunamis. Don't forget, Pangea is a thing. There was one continent.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible even tells us that it was in the days of a fellow named Peleg that the earth was divided. So you have all of these continents that begin to break up. So when that asteroid strikes, there's tsunamis going off all over the world. We have evidence of these asteroid strikes and tsunamis going all over the world. Well, when the sun goes out and the atmosphere begins to clear, you have let there be light, and then the water begins to recede off the land. Let the land be separated from the water. So as you read down Genesis, it reads like there's a disaster, and the exact order of this so-called creation that everybody is mistaking a creation, I think it's a restoration. It goes in the exact scientific order of things, the way things would happen if the earth was being restored after a disaster. That's why it doesn't really say that God created the stars, the moon, and the sun on day 4. It said he made them to appear. Okay? So if you have all of the this debris going into the atmosphere, then all of a sudden it begins to clear, your light begins to come through, photosynthesis begins again, your plants begin to grow, there's your herbs and your trees and etc. And then all of a sudden, the atmosphere is cleared enough to where you can see the sun, the moon, and the stars. They were made to appear on the 4th day. Otherwise, why in the world, in the beginning, God created the heavens first and the earth? Okay, in verse 1. So they already existed. So it doesn't make sense that God would create an earth and then the heavens to give light to it. That just doesn't make sense at all. How do your plants survive? It takes a miracle. God has to do a miracle to keep them alive. But he does things in a natural way. He creates law and order. God is a very orderly God. So the way Genesis reads, though, it looks like a disaster. And you see these disasters hitting time after time after time after time. And I believe that God is showing us that we live in a huge epic of one cycle after another of destruction and regeneration and life and destruction and regeneration and life. Why
Yeah,
not? God is eternal.
I'd like to point out that the Hindus have something similar with their kalpa cycles.
Yes.
The god of, Shiva, Kali,
Yeah.
Krishna.
And
Yeah.
it's really interesting that you bring that up. I appreciate that point because, you see, I believe something very similar in that I believe that all religions, now I'm not talking about recent religions, but all ancient religions and mythologies, so-called mythologies, are telling the very same stories.
Yeah.
And that it's been handed down from generation to generation and culture to culture, nation to nation. And so you're going to get variations. But if you look, the Greek gods are the same as the Roman gods, same stories, just different names. And then you have the same stories, different names with the Egyptians, same stories, different names with the Mesopotamians. Lucifer, the light bearer, Prometheus, the light bearer. I mean, all of these things are handed down through time. And so I believe that they're just told from two different points of view. You have the point of view of the people that worship the one God, and then you have the points of view of the people that were worshiping the fallen angels and the Nephilim.
Yeah, I could see how I think just about all of the world religions, because, pretty much all of them branch off from, one or another in some way, Mormonism and Christianity, for example. But yeah, I would agree. There's some sort of intuitive sense that it makes for all world religions to share one root, one taproot, if you will.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder, I'll shoot this out here too to see what your thoughts are. If, I guess, the language of science, natural science, not, science that's used to, I guess, further any sort of political agenda, like what folks were doing with, poor people and black people back in the day.
Yeah.
Our country was much worse than it is now. But anyway, I wonder if science is another language that directly tells or directly shows the story of the origins of the universe as they happened.
I believe unadulterated science does. I
Yeah.
do. Why would God not? He says that the heavens declare the glory of the Lord. That's what God tells us. So we should be able to look at the heavens, the earth, and all of these things and come to an understanding. God's not going to lie to us. Now, you'll have men, because of their personal aspirations or whatever, their personal biases, that claim to be scientists that will cease practicing science in order to protect an agenda. But, and I believe that's what evolution does. An example of that is the soft tissue found in dinosaur bones. Well, if you do the math, Mary Schweitzer was able to miraculously preserve, when she was trying to find out, can you preserve this soft tissue for 88 million years? That's a very good question. The longest she was able to project a preservation would have been 234,000 years for collagen, the preservation of collagen. So we know, according to science, then, that these bones can't be older than 234,000 years old at the outside. But then when you come to the fact that they're found every single bone that's been tested, and I have the paperwork for this to prove it with C14, tests young. It tests between 9 and 49,000 years old, somewhere right in that group, 9 to 49,000 years. So that's not to say I believe the earth is, that young. It could be older. But the bones they're testing aren't any older than that. So the fellow named Jack Horner, who was the He's probably one of the foremost paleontologists of the century. He was Mary Schweitzer's boss who found this soft tissue. He's an atheist and an evolutionist. So he has an agenda to protect. He was the science advisor on all the first 3 Jurassic Park movies. But when he was asked to C14 test the dinosaur bones that he has, where they found the soft tissue, science would say do it, because we need to know. If they can't be 234,000 years old, then we know they're certainly not 88 million years old. So that can't be true what you're teaching. So let's see if they do test for C14. If they have C14, they're less than 50,000 years old. He refused. He was offered $20,000 to test these bones with C14 and refused. So that's an example of a man that has ceased from science to protect his agenda. But I agree with you.
Yeah, I have an article here I've just posted here in the private chat precisely in regards to that topic. And there is a science paper which came out in 2002, Biomolecules in Fossil Remains. And they are calculating, I can quote here, proteins may afford us the opportunity to recover genetic information from warmer environments, where attempts to recover ancient DNA are less sure of success. In more temperate pleural environments, osteocalcine has a predicted survival limit of 580,000 years at 20 degrees Celsius and 7.5 million years at 10 degrees Celsius. So this is the upper limit. That means that you cannot have bones. There are articles out there which claim that they are 500 million years old and they contain soft tissue. So that cannot be true.
Amen. It can't be. And
so what kind of soft tissue is it exactly?
That's interesting. When you say soft tissue, most people picture meat hanging off the bones, but it wasn't. They've actually found soft tissues in ichthyosaurs that they claim are like 300 million years old, and down to the T-Rex and the hadrosaurs at 88 and 68 million years. But what they actually found, like with the T-Rex and the hadrosaur, I know of these personally, but it appears to be dried bone. That's what it appears to be. They had to break this dinosaur bone in order to get it back to the museum. And when they broke it, there was some slivers. That's what they actually had tested. And they put the bone in, the sliver in, the solution, and it dissolves the bone. But what it left was things that looked like, collagen was part of it. There were actual blood vessels, blood veins, and there were actual what appeared to be red blood cells laying in the tracks of the blood veins. So they also found degraded DNA, but it wasn't. They weren't able to do anything with it. At least that's what they tell us. They weren't able to test it or try to see what it might have belonged to. If it was descended to or from anything else, they couldn't test it.
I can quote here Mary Schweitzer. She was featured at Christianity Today, and she wrote here, "I kept smelling something very odd in the dinosaur bones," she recalled. It reminded her of smells in the campus cadaver labs. Most paleontologists came from a geology background, so it didn't dawn on them that it smelled, she said. Nothing has an odor unless it has organics associated with it. Mm-hmm. So, very interesting, that comment.
Mm-hmm. And yes, she actually says in her article, too, a peer-reviewed article that earned her PhD, by the way. She says that since the 1960s, we've been finding dinosaur bones with soft tissue in it. Now, think about that. The first time we heard about it was in the 2000s when she found the soft tissue in the T Rex bone. So if they've been finding it since the 1960s, that means they've known about this for almost 50 years and kept it quiet.
Mhm.
Now, I think that's fishy, man. Uh, how surprising would it have been in the 1960s, 70s, or 80s to read about soft tissue in dinosaur bones? When we found out about it in the 2000s, most scientists didn't even know about it because they said it's impossible that you're finding soft tissue in there. Mary Schweitzer was ridiculed. So was Jack Horner. They were ridiculed, saying, "Y'all don't know the difference between biological tissue and biofilm." So that's how she earned her PhD, though. First was by proving that this is indeed soft tissue in dinosaur bone. That they are blood vessels, blood cells, degraded DNA, collagen, etc. And then there's several other folks that have found uh, living cells in some of these things. Well, they were once living anyway. But she states in her peer-reviewed article about the preservation to see how long you can possibly preserve this stuff. She says that this is material that is not its original biological material. It's not mineralized. So
Yeah, she published a science paper in 2020 with the title Evidence of Proteins, Chromosomes, and Chemical Markers of DNA in Exceptionally Preserved Dinosaur Cartilage.
yes. And in another paper, she goes on to mention examples of soft tissue that goes back almost 100 years.
Yeah.
I think that's just well, it's unsurprising to me because as somebody who grew up Mormon and eventually meandered into atheism, like angry militant atheism in my late teen years to early 20s, science becomes kind of the forefront of everything that you believe in. It becomes kind of the new God in a way when you're talking about it. Yeah, and I've noticed that it's not so much what you believe in that is harmful to, I guess, reaching an understanding or a sense of collaboration with people that disagree with you. It's your value system. And science does not inherently have, any kind of value system. It's all based on, nowadays, who can pay you to do the science that they want you to do. Like, take, for example, back in the 70s, there was a scientist who was trying to get oil companies to stop putting lead in the gasoline, right? Because it was causing all sorts of mayhem in the environment and in our kids, everything like that. Some oil company or some car company paid another group of scientists to do research contrary to what the good scientist is trying to do, and they ended up coming out with research and evidence that proved that lead was okay for the environment and was not harmful to people. But now we know better.
Yes.
Right. So I could definitely see, there's agendas everywhere inside and outside of the field of religion or science. It just all depends on your value system as a person.
Exactly. See, everybody's got an agenda when it comes right down to it. Everybody has an agenda.
There's a whole narrative.
The entire field of science today, it relies on a philosophical framework which was formalized in the 19th century with the X Club. So before 1880 or something like that, there were many Christians, and the inference that God did it was perfectly fine. But then Thomas Huxley and the Royal Society, in a period of about 20 years, they boxed through a new framework where you say that God has no place in science anymore. And that is a reflection until today, where you will rarely find a conclusion of a science paper related to historical issues saying most probably it was designer or creator which did it. It will always be an evolutionary explanation. And that because that philosophical framework which was laid down in the 19th century, where you can only give naturalistic explanations in regards of natural phenomena.
Well, it's a reconciliation. The Muslims try to do it, the Christians try to do it, and the evolutionists try to do it. Like, Pukov, do you believe that like global warming is such an issue that we solved the extinction of the dinosaurs farted themselves into extinction?
What?
No, I'm serious. I'm not joking. I'm not making a wisecrack because that's exactly what they're teaching in schools right now. They taught my kid that in high school
I
the other
don't
day. That
believe
the
global
reason
warming
the
is
reason the
is what's
dinosaurs are
called. It's
gone
climate
now, they're
change.
onto it. The dinosaurs they're eating grass in mass and they're farting it out. So that's like ruining the environment. So they
What? Sorry.
see because that's when I was a younger creationist. I had this hang up because I remember it's about 6 years ago. They found out that the Fowler monkeys, right, that they're indigenous to America. They figured that at one point there was a migration of monkeys, right, in the great apes. This evolutionary explanation that the great apes migrated all over the place, and they eventually made it here. But then in South America, they found a monkey that's only in Africa. It's still in Africa today, but they found a fossil of a monkey. They said was old, 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 and they came up with a theory that the monkey Mayflower came over from Africa. So they floated on loose, but they
Yeah,
serve we call it the monkey Mayflower. So
yeah,
we would wisecrack about it, but that was their rationalization of that find that the monkey sailed over here.
or surfed.
Yeah, surfed. We call it the monkey May. They came over on the Mayflower.
Yeah, yeah. They
The
literally
monkeys fell
surfed.
in.
Like the penguins in that one movie, Surfs Up.
But
That's
see,
dope.
now with the global warming shit, like hot on the tip, we're gonna die in like 30 years. We're all gonna die. We're doomed. It's over. We have apocalyptic gas crisis already. Pretty soon you're gonna have guys running around in leather and stuff like Mad Max movie. But now they've solved the extinction of the dinosaurs by saying that the dinosaurs farted themselves into extinction.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's saying
Now, do you
that.
think that's actual evidence of that, or do you think that's a rationalization to support a narrative?
That the dinosaurs farted themselves to
Yeah,
death?
the dinosaur farts caused global warming, and it made it really hot, and they had a drought, and they couldn't find food
I've
anymore, and they all
literally
just died.
never heard that. I thought they died because of, just depending on which extinction we're talking about here.
No, but you know how we got like
Asteroid,
60
the
million. You know the
oceans.
cows?
Yeah, we got cows.
The cows pollute.
They
Yeah,
fart a
so
lot.
like, well,
Absolutely.
the stegosaurs and shit. They polluted a lot more. They ate a lot more grass than a cow. They had like 17 stomachs compared to a cow's 4. So them eating all the plants and their methane, they were like 2 volcanoes apiece.
There you go.
So now they're saying that the cows farted themselves, or the dinosaurs farted so much it caused global warming, and they all became extinct, and they ran out of food.
See, this is why there should have been Beano.
Yeah.
But that's science.
Yeah.
These are scientists. These are esteemed
Anti-gas
scientists
tablets.
coming up with this stuff.
Yeah. I think we have more evidence that school makes you retarded, or it can. Yeah, it can.
I've got some gripes with the public school system here, specifically in America.
Yes.
Well, I have many conversations with atheists, and sometimes I am really impressed with the low level of logic and thoughts being expressed by many people. And
For sure. Yeah. There are a lot of atheists that don't, and they shock me, and they shouldn't shock me because most of these people I encounter on Facebook, which is, kind of the least common denominator of thinking and logic anywhere on the internet. But yeah, I sometimes I get blindsided by the sheer just, ignorance of the comments that I get or the replies.
yeah, some are just trolling, but some make some really outrageous and irrational claims in a fully serious manner. And that's what I am saying, that it is sometimes really kind of even shocking.
You
Yeah, if I were to
believe it.
come out and say something totally off the wall, like the purest form of science, which is unadulterated, like Eric said, and the purest form of faith, also unadulterated by mankind's opinions and blind sides and things like that, they at some point on our tree of understanding, our place here in the universe and the origin of everything, they fall along the same path. Pure
They
faith.
converge,
They
yes.
converge. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
I agree 100%. I've got some very, very intelligent friends. Some are believers, some are not. And most of my friends are a lot smarter than I am. And they're not, not, some of them aren't believers, and that's okay. But where I think science goes wrong is where they cease practicing science to preserve their agenda. If we could all just look at the facts and understand and long for the truth, look for the truth, not to protect an agenda. When I began searching this out, I was late teens, early 20s, and I didn't care. I didn't care what the truth was. I just wanted to know the truth. Like, for instance, is evolution a real thing? Is that some? Because if God is God, he surely could have used evolution to produce the myriads of animals that we see before us today.
Sure.
He could have. But, on the other hand, if God is God, he didn't have to do that. He could have done it exactly the way, many people teach and preach that it was done. He created each one after its own kind.
Mm-hmm.
So the more I searched for the truth, the more I found all these little holes in the theory that make it fail. For instance, the Cambrian explosion came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's no predecessor to all of these animals that just suddenly appear in the fossil record. And Richard Dawkins, in his book, The Blind Watchmaker, he says, it's as if they just suddenly appeared with no evolutionary history at all. This is Richard Dawkins saying this. And he said,
it debunked the gradualism. And that was like that was another thing that I would go on, because like Darwin in his book describes like a gradual procession, but he had no idea what DNA was. He had no idea of the fossils. He made all these weird predictions about Africa, and like we find out like the Cambrian layer, there's one solid layer of seashells, and there's nothing before that. So you got all the like everything was like a single cell paramecium, and all of a sudden they became like crabs.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But you know what they say? They say the Cambrian explosion wasn't actually so short. It was a period of about 20 million years.
Yeah.
And that's more than enough to explain all the variety of sudden appearance of
But it's not, because
fossils.
if you look at the gradualism like Darwin, and the thing they keep trying to rationalize, and they're trying to keep it whatever it's like any other religion. They're trying to keep everything they can in order with natural selection. So they take that. There's a long period of time, right? There's these little single cells, and over that period of time, there's no fossilization or anything else. There's nothing to lead us to believe things are evolving. There's just all of a sudden crabs. And now there's some catastrophic event, and there's crabs, there's trilobites, there's all this stuff. And then we get into humans, right? And hominids, right? Where it's only like maybe like 1.5 million years, and they have all kinds of stuff. Like there's all kinds of things that happen to fossilize these things. So they must have lived in like World War V, DEFCON 7, right? Where they're getting covered in mud, and they're getting fossilized. Because they got all this fossil record of them, but like when we go back there in that 25, 26 million year span, there's really just like there's cells at one point, and all of a sudden there's seashells.
So as a default, when it comes to my sense of faith, I tend to lean towards doubt and skepticism first. But one of my gripes about science, or I guess people that would fall under the definition of what folks call scientism, you know, are largely comprise the folks that hear, a few scientists or one scientist say, I don't know what happened all those millions of years ago, but I think this is what happened. And I think this is what happened because there's like 3 pieces of evidence or like 12 pieces of evidence that, um, support my hypothesis. And everyone jumps on that and says, yeah, that sounds like a great explanation. Occam's razor, let's go with that. And that, in a way, like what Eric was saying, becomes a scientific fact.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
it's
we have
it's
a lot of
scientific.
trouble detangling, what facts are versus theories,
But
hypotheses.
you have
in
to
our
look at it for like in our time, like our zeitgeist. We look at like Dr. Fossey, for instance, and I hope we don't catch a strike 'cause we can't afford one.
Don't mention
But
his name or we're going to be
we
gone.
have Dr. Fossey. He's the highest paid member of our federal government. He's an infectious disease expert, and he goes up before Congress, and they're asking him, right? Weren't you telling us all to go lock down a week ago, and now you're not saying anything about all these protests that are erupting all over the country, and all these people gathering together? Why won't you say something about that? And he's dodging that because he knows he doesn't. He's Dr. Fossey right now. He's the liberal hero. He can't get canceled, and that kind of gives you the right. It kind of gives you an idea of what's going on. They're scientists to a point, but they're still human beings like us. They're not like these infallible people. They have to maintain their reputations.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So they at some point they're gonna go, fuck science. I have a nice house. I have a nice car. I got my family in check. I don't want to be the guy that makes everyone mad.
That's exactly what it is.
You know?
You know,
Yeah.
there was science has changed, man. I'm like 60, almost 65, I think. I have to ask my wife. Maybe I'm 64. But anyway, it's not Alzheimer's. I just never could keep up. But
Same here.
science has changed since I was a kid, man. It really has. And I know you hear all the time about the good old days and this and that. But seriously, when I was in school, science was what it was for the last 200 years. Science had to be testable and repeatable with your hypotheses. You're testing. You had to falsify your hypotheses, put it through a falsification procedure. You make your observation, you come up with your hypothesis to describe that observation or explain it the best way possible. And then you test your hypothesis, put it to the test. Does it actually stand up? Is it actually possible?
Right.
And since the 1980s, that has changed with our new theoretical sciences, which began with cosmology with Dr. Alan Guth when he came up with the theory of eternal expansion.
Inflation.
Eternal inflation. So, I mean, but if you read, it's a cool theory, it's a cool hypothesis, but there's no way to put it to the test.
Right.
Now, he, in his own paper, his abstract, you could look it up, Dr. Alan Guth, eternal inflation, and you can read in the abstract right there in his first paragraph, he debunks it himself. He says it's a great idea, but the math doesn't work out, and we're going to have to do something with this, make some adjustments. So that's when they added string theory to it, to internal inflation. And then that's when a bunch of scientists jumped ship because they said, look, this is nice science fiction, but that's all it is. There's no way to put this to the test.
String theory weirded out a lot of people.
Yeah. And there's, but we've got multiverses and this and Star Trek and all of this.
At least 9 or 12 dimensions.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like that.
Yeah, so it's like, it is great science fiction, man. I love to watch these movies. I really do. Great science fiction.
But
But
Eric, what I frequently observe is that atheists, they have no problem to believe in multiverses, abiogenesis, evolution, common ancestry, and they are fine with all these things, consciousness coming from matter and so forth. But when it comes to the God claim, then they become the skeptics.
Yeah.
Then they are,
Yeah.
they are, like this.
I
And
think it's because. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
it's a double standard because I say, why are you not in as much skeptical towards the naturalistic claims as you are in regards of the God hypothesis? And that's what they do. They look with glasses like this to the God hypothesis, and then they find all kind of reasons to disbelieve, but they never actually scrutinize in the same sense the naturalistic claims and what they have to believe as an alternative if God doesn't exist. That's why I always make the same standard question to an atheist. How do you explain our existence without a creator? And when I ask that, then they have to find answers where they cannot just beat and criticize the Bible. They need to think, how do I explain our existence without God? And I've never seen an atheist providing a good explanation to that question.
Right. I think it's a lot of it is projection, because when you get to what science really is, what it really is, it's a best guess that builds upon another best guess, which becomes another best guess. It's a series, a whole tree of best guesses that are built on one another. And when you get to things like quantum physics, string theory, metaphysics, things that cannot be overtly proven right here in the now, like using a hypothesis and all that stuff as part of the scientific what's the word I'm looking for here, process. Once you get to that point, you get people jumping ship because it gets really scary and muddy for them. They can't put their faith in anything concrete, but they'd rather do that than believe in a God. Which I have no problem with. I feel like I'm getting by in life without holding fast.
Science is only good to a point to where politics and political pressure.
Yeah.
Because we already know that a female doctor can't tell us what a woman is. You remember that episode?
Yeah.
So we have a female PhD. She cannot answer that question. And we have Fossey cannot answer why he's not condemning the protest. And these are scientists. They're legitimate scientists. They went to school. They're legitimate authorities. They've done years and years and years of study. They have the credentials, and they can't answer your questions because there is an objective to answering yes or no to certain questions for them.
Yeah, because everyone wants to be PC.
There is that science does have an agenda sometimes. There are people that are politically pressured, whether you're a scientist, whether you're the fucking Pope in Rome. You're going to get politically pressured, and you're going to, right? It's not politically correct to say things because there's people more popular than you. Science is you're just in a lab and shit doing your research until the politicians put you on the forefront. Science is limited to that.
You said a key word, which is scientism. And I see this very frequently as well, that atheists, they ask me to prove that God exists. And they want a demonstration. I mean, if you watch the Atheist Experience, how many times is Beth talking about demonstrate? You cannot demonstrate. I want that you demonstrate all the time about demonstration. But obviously, we cannot neither demonstrate God, nor can we test God as a scientific hypothesis. And I say this. There are historical events which supposedly just happened once. We have no time machine to go back to see what happened. So the evidence at our disposal is one. It is the same for every one of us. And we need just to try to make the best out of it. And I always say, I don't need to make a test or elaborate a hypothesis in regards of things that we already have knowledge. Like, I know that I, as a machine designer, I can make a blueprint and upon that blueprint construct a machine or a factory. That is something which I know that I, as an intelligent being, I can do these things. So this is a fact. Now, if we are looking into biology, we see analogously to what we do exactly the same things, but in a much more sophisticated way. A gene is what? It is hardware and software. The gene itself, DNA, is the hardware. Then the code and the sequence of nucleotides, that's the software. What does it do? It directs the making of molecular machines and cell factories, which are chemical factories making all the building blocks. And these are things which we have only seen being instantiated by intelligent beings. So I don't need to test this anymore. Now, science is struggling for over 70 years trying to explain the origin of these things by natural means, and has failed. So, what do you do out of this? Atheists, they will say, well, science is working on it, and tomorrow maybe they will have an answer, and it will be obviously a naturalistic answer because that's what they expect. But they do exactly what they accuse us of doing. They are making basically a naturalism of the gaps argument. Science doesn't know yet, but tomorrow it will know, and the insertion is a naturalistic mechanism.
And I love when they call it a natural process. You know why? Think about this for a moment. What is a natural process? A natural process is a process of nature that is observable. Okay?
Monkeys sailing over the Atlantic together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's natural.
Yeah. So what do we actually, when it comes to life, we've got two choices. The origin of life in the universe. It was either through some sort of abiogenesis process, or it was a creation. There is no third option to how did life evolve in the universe? How did life come to be? There is no third option. It's one or the other. So now all we do is make our observation. What do we observe? Well, when we look at life, out of all the hundreds of trillions of life forms that have existed, or hundreds of zillions of life forms that have existed, which one can we point to and say this came about through a process of abiogenesis?
What do you think? Why didn't Aaron last week talk about the origin of life, but about evolution? Because when you talk about abiogenesis, you cannot invoke evolution because evolution depends on life already self-replicating and existing. So, as you correctly said, it is either God did it or God didn't do it. Either intelligence was involved or intelligence was not involved. And once intelligence was not involved, then what do you have left? Stochastic, unguided, non-intelligent random events.
Yeah. Well,
go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
No, well, what we actually observe is that it takes a life to bring forth a life. You have to have a previous life, if any new life that we can point to. I don't care if it's a cell, a single-celled animal. I don't care if it's a human, an elephant. It doesn't matter. A plant. It doesn't matter what we point to. Life, if it's a new life, it came about because there was another life before it that helped it come forth. So what we observe in nature, the natural process, is that life brings forth life. And you have to have an intelligent being, an intelligent life, to bring forth an intelligent life. It doesn't come about any other way that we've ever been able to observe in nature or create in the laboratory. So what we observe as a natural process is life brings forth life, intelligence brings forth intelligence, consciousness brings forth consciousness. That's what we actually observe. So that's the natural process. So how can abiogenesis be called a natural process? That becomes the miracle that's begging for an exception. So, and we have no exception that we can point to. And then this is why I love science. And I love the passage that says we can look around us and tell everything about God and creation and everything. When we look at cosmology, Okay. First, we had the Big Bang. I have nothing against cosmology. I love cosmology. But we had the Big Bang, and flatness and horizon falsified the Big Bang. Flatness is they don't know why the universe is flat, it appears to be flat. Horizon is the perfect fine tuning that didn't make it expand out to nothing or collapse back in on itself. And it also allowed conditions for life and everything else to happen that we see happening.
But Eric, you have certainly heard atheists saying, for any scientific mystery, the explanation has always been a scientific explanation or a natural explanation.
Well,
And-
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I simply disagree. That the truth is exactly the contrary. There have no explanations based on naturalism being provided whatsoever.
Well,
And
that's
whether-
what I'm saying is I disagree with their definition of what's natural.
Naturalism is a self-imposed contradiction because
Yeah.
it's natural. Like we said, right? The dinosaurs, like they're teaching us, they naturally came into existence and started farting themselves into existence, trying to eat food. They're
Yeah.
eating food, they're farting, and it caused global warming. This is a
Hey man,
natural process.
times were hard back then, okay? All they had to eat
No,
were
but
beans,
now in
broccoli.
2022, all right, we invented a wheel. We've progressed to make our lives easier. We invented automobiles eventually.
Yeah.
We're in the cars. They're polluting our environment, right? We're just like the dinosaurs now. We're destroying our planet with our own like self-sustaining methods. Now it's time to go, well, we got to feel bad for the planet. Let's put hardships on ourselves because that's so natural. That's what the dinosaurs did. They stopped eating grass. They cut back on their grass intake to save the planet back then. Right? No. There's a contradiction. There's no
Sorry.
naturalism. We don't have it's a religion. You go back and you go, I'm gonna hug a tree now because like that's my job. No. We started out naturally cutting the trees down to build houses and make wheels and make
Yeah.
cars and make factories and make our lives easier. And now we're gonna go, well, we should stop doing that because it's fucking up the environment. That wasn't natural for the dinosaurs, was it? They didn't
No,
give a fuck.
dinosaurs didn't drive cars.
They kept eating their plants. They kept farting into the ozone.
Yeah.
So we're not a part of the natural society, are we?
Yeah.
It's a give and take. There's a contradiction in naturalism. You can't help but notice it.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder too. Like,
it's never been in our nature to make life harder for ourselves. We've always tried to. And technology is always meant to make us life
make it easier. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're going against the grain at this point.
Yes, we are. We go
We're not
against the grain.
naturalists anymore.
We go against the grain when we say abiogenesis is a natural process too.
Unless they want to go back and teach us that a meteor hit and fucking killed all the dinosaurs.
They farted themselves to death.
Yeah.
No, but that's what they're teaching now. They're telling everybody that the dinosaurs ate too much grass and farted the ozone layer out.
But Taylor, after having such intelligent guests like Eric at your show, you should soon return and convert back to Christianity. Don't you think so?
I have a John. I have a mission to John.
He does.
Yeah, I'm gonna come on God Talk. I'm gonna come on your God Talk, and we're gonna talk about Johnism. And you could pick what time that is, as long as the schedule permits.
Well, I just got curious now. I tell me in 5 minutes what you're talking about.
Huh?
Tell me in 5 minutes what you're talking about.
Yeah, he wants the 5-minute scoop on Johnism.
What Johnism? Johnism is the acknowledgement of reality.
Yeah, I think we all here in the room acknowledge that reality is real, because otherwise we wouldn't be here, right?
Yes. Now, when Yahweh created the heavens and earth, where was Yahweh? Was he in reality or was he in it somewhere else?
Well, let's just say that God is real. That's enough.
Well, I want to know where he was.
His own title is I Am. That means he exists, right? So he's real.
But it says he existed. Now, did
No, he
he have?
exists. He still exists. He has always existed. There has never been a state of affairs without existence. Existence has always been because we are here. Otherwise, you would have to say that nothing has creative powers, which is absurd.
Well, I got hold up. Can
Did
I
Yahweh's
interrupt real
existence
quick?
proceed? Has existence been co-eternal with Yahweh, or the Trinity, if you're a Trinitarian, right? The Holy Trinity. Has existence been co-eternal with the Trinity?
Well, existence isn't an ontological affair. It describes what is.
So, was existence created?
No, because God has always existed. He is uncreated.
All right. So, existence is that now we have a chicken and the egg. All right.
No.
Existence is always here, and God's always here.
What is existence?
It's where we exist, right? Where God exists too.
Why don't you just simplify? God
Well,
exists, period.
I would hold on. I see a
Private
comment
Wars.
here.
Yeah,
Without
I'm
God,
gonna
there is
come on the
no
God talks. I
living.
don't want to rape the show with my own Johnism.
Well, I
'Cause I have
got a
guests.
question though.
It's
Actually,
inhospitable to fucking force right to project in on guests, but that's what I say. That's my take, is that reality has to be right, the contingent one, right? Who's contingent on who? Like, there's reality. There's always reality, and there's always one to live in it. So we have chicken and egg. Which
well,
came first?
No, I make a creator-creature distinction. There was God, which is eternal. He has never ceased to exist. He has always been, and he has created everything else, and we are dependent on that creator.
Do you guys follow quantum physics for the double slit experiment, for instance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, would you agree that the implications of the double slit experiment are that matter only acts as matter when it's observed? Other than that, when it's not observed, the wave function collapses, or when it is observed. But when it's not observed, it acts as instead of particles or matter, it acts as energy, like a wave.
Hmm.
Would you agree with that?
I don't know, because that would be placing a conclusion on an experiment that I don't understand fully the ramifications of. But I would say that is it. It is what it seems to be pointing towards. What you said.
I find it fascinating, because
Yeah, isn't it?
it doesn't matter if it's a photon or atoms or molecules. The largest molecules they've been able to test with this so far with double slit experiment is 5,000 atoms large. That's a huge molecule. So, and yet it acts the same way. So we can't tell if there's an end to that or not. There's a point where that ceases to be true. But if that continues to be true, no matter the scale, whether it's micro or macro, I believe what's true in the micro is true in the macro.
As above, so below. Yeah.
Yes. So if that stands, then the ramifications would be that we don't really exist as matter. The real us, well, we do, but the real us is energy. Now, what is consciousness? What is intelligence? What is thought? What is the soul? I contend that all of these things are the energy, the real us that exists within these shells that manifest when we are observed. Now, consider this. If there is no physical manifestation of our energy unless it is observed, then we have to ask this. When we had the Big Bang, E had to equal mc squared. E had, because matter has to act as matter for us to figure all this out to go back to the Big Bang. Okay? It all has to work out mathematically. Matter has to act like matter. It can't act like energy. That means that at the time of the Big Bang, if E did equal mc squared to give us what we have today, then something was observing the creation of this universe. Something had to observe it for this to work out mathematically and for this matter to suddenly manifest and take shape.
And coalesce. I've never thought about that. That is a fascinating thought.
Yes. So that would mean that the real us, the inside of us, is energy. Now we're taught in the Bible that this body is going to drop off one day, but we are still alive because we are still the energy. Now this would mean that God is invisible. God the Father has no body. Okay, so he is invisible. He's omnipresent. Now check this out. Dark matter is said to be omnipresent, or dark energy is said to be omnipresent. There's nowhere it doesn't exist. Dark energy is said to be holding all of the universe together. Colossians says God holds all the universe together. Dark energy is said to be expanding the universe. The Bible says that God is stretching forth, present tense, stretching forth the universe like a curtain, stretching forth the heavens like a curtain. That's what it says. And it says he's invisible. Dark matter, dark energy is invisible. So has science detected God through the double-slit experiment and cosmology? I suggest that there's more evidence for God than there is some other thing that they're calling naturalistic that goes against the nature that we observe.
But see, you're getting into the woo-woo is what the atheists would say, because once you start getting really into quantum physics, everything like spooky action at a distance, quantum tunneling, things like that, atheists, I mean, there are a few that are like, yeah, I mean, those are really good questions to ponder about the extant reality of our universe. And there are others that are like, well, yeah, F you, I don't want to think about that, God isn't real, and you're going to go to an insane asylum because you're schizophrenic and believe in God. But
that's a good point.
I have also thought about these things, Eric, and I have even entertained to become an idealist, so that everything is just thought, right? But I've not been able to come to that conclusion. I am still a dualist.
Well, I do believe that material exists. Matter exists. These bodies obviously exist. But it's just the shell that takes place when we are being directly observed. That's all. That's all it is. And who's directly observing it? That would be God. But then this makes sense too. If God is invisible, God is a spirit, God is energy, and quantum physics or the double-slit experiment is suggesting strongly that we're energy that comes together, manifests as flesh when it's being observed. It's suggesting the very same thing. So that's one reason I believe when God said, "Look at nature, look around you, look at what the natural processes are, look what nature does teach you, and you'll see me, you'll see my creation." I'm just sold on that idea, and I love it. Not saying that I know it all, because I certainly don't.
I agree. I agree with Moel. God is not energy. Energy is created. That's precisely why I am not an idealist. There is still a distinction between energy and the mind. That's why I still hold that there is a clear distinction. But
what would you say God is, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm sorry?
What would you say God is, if you don't mind me asking? God is something.
Yeah, spirit.
And what is spirit?
That's a good question.
That's what I say. Spirit is energy. But you don't have to agree with that.
I am often asked, what caused the energy which triggered everything into existence? And I say Well, God has potential energy at his disposal, which he can actualize and which he actualized at the Big Bang. But obviously, if that energy is at his disposal and if it wasn't extant prior to instantiation at the Big Bang, then the question is, well, did he create or actualize energy from nothing? I would say yes. But if you say yes, then the question is, how can something come from nothing, even if God created it? This is something which is a difficult question, I would say.
That is, we would have to, with that in mind, knowing that energy or matter can either be destroyed or created, we would either have to acknowledge first and foremost that all of the energy and matter in our universe is eternal and can never be created or destroyed, so there's evidence for eternity there. Or we're going to have to rewrite the laws of thermodynamics completely.
And what does that sound like? I mean, I love the way you worded that, but doesn't that sound like God, eternal,
Well, yeah.
never created, never destroyed?
John.
Yeah, but I disagree with that. I hear that very often that the first law of thermodynamics proves that God is not created or destroyed, and therefore it was not created the Big Bang. But that would be refuted by the second law, which I said last time that I was here, that you have entropy, and if energy would be eternal, then there still would have to be a mechanism to recharge the energy like a clock in order to go back from a high entropy to a low entropy state of affairs.
Because
And
the universe, as it is now, defined by science, is either a multiverse or it's a closed system.
well, the universe as we know it is a closed system which is going towards heat death because of the second law.
Otangelo, if you don't mind me asking, it seems to me like we have energy, we have matter. What exists besides energy and matter that we can point to and say has substance? I can't think of a thing. So
I can
then,
think of something that it's been kind of niggling at the back of my mind. I'm sorry to take your question, Otangelo, but
no, that's okay.
mathematics is something that really bends my brain, and not just because I struggled with it in 8th grade, but because math is one of those things that, like somebody asked, was math invented by humans or was it?
What kind of Asian are you? You're supposed to be good at that shit.
I'm only half, dude, and I'm not even East Asian. I'm Southeast Asian, so I'm good at like other things.
Everybody, we got a bunch of people joining. Everybody in my description, we got links to God Talk and Hot Topic debates, Hot Topic Bible discussions and debates in the description. So go ahead and check out my guest channels.
So yeah, that's what I wanted to say is mathematics. I mean, it is, you know, whether or not there are people that exist to acknowledge that 2 + 2 = 4. Will that always be true no matter what? Even if people aren't around, or like whales, if they knew how to count.
Yeah,
would 2 + 2 still = 4?
I agree with you, and I think it's ridiculous to say it wouldn't. You know, of course,
Yeah.
2 + 2 would equal 4.
I think 2 + 2 is always 4, but you need actually a mind to recognize it and to be able to think about these realities.
There needs to be an interface. Yeah, because math is not real like this White Claw is real.
It becomes only real in our minds where we can think about these state of affairs. And this is the big mystery. And that's what I ask atheists all the time. How is it possible that matter started to be conscious, started to comprehend things, starting to have language, starting to understand the laws of logic, starting to understand math, starting to have a moral conscience? I mean, it makes no sense.
Well, I would disagree that consciousness is evidence for God. I don't think consciousness is as special as we think it is. I think we perceive it as something that is greater than it actually is because we're the ones experiencing it. But if you look at how we perceive things as humans on the day-to-day, you know, all of our daily scotomas and blind spots and false memories and things like that, our consciousness is evidently showing that it's an imperfect tool. It's an imperfect means to understand our world. It's by no means a perfect faculty, right? Which would make sense. We're imperfect beings.
Look at that. Look at what Mo said to you.
Ah, Mo.
And do you think what do you think a spirit is? What is a spirit made of? If I can ask you guys, all three of you.
I'll let someone else go first because I feel like I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, I would say it is a non-physical entity which is able to think, to be conscious, to perceive things, to have memory, to calculate, to feel. There are many things. I wrote actually a syllogism in regards. If you guys want, I can quick read it, because there are many things involved in it. Give me a minute. Okay, so consciousness englobes the mind, qualia, intellectual activity, calculating, thinking, forming abstract ideas, imagination, introspection, cognition, memories, awareness, experiencing, intentions, free volition, free creation, invention, generation of information. It classifies, recognizes, and judges behavior, good and evil. It is aware of beauty and feels sensations and emotions.
Mm-hmm. But what do you think it's made of?
Well, it is a non-physical entity.
So, but it obviously exists, right?
Yeah.
Our spirit exists, in other words, is what I'm saying. But what is it? Is it something? We can't say it's nothing.
Right.
What is our spirit made of?
It is something non-physical, but I think we cannot describe it.
Well, wouldn't energy describe it?
Well, if you are talking about physical energy, then I would say no. These are distinct things.
Well, don't you think our soul would have to be something?
Well, you know, I've thought about this, and that's precisely why I was entertaining the idea of idealism. But I cannot see how you can put both things together and say consciousness is energy. Why? Because
not consciousness. You see, let me explain. I believe your spirit is conscious, and within your consciousness is intelligence. But your intelligence and your consciousness is possessed by your spirit being the you that is conscious and intelligence. Consciousness and intelligence is part of your, those are attributes of your spirit. Those aren't your spirit. So what I'm asking is, if your spirit possesses consciousness and intelligence, then what is the spirit actually made of? It has to be something. We can't.
Right, but you are saying energy, so we have to ask what is energy,
as opposed to something physical. Yes.
Yeah, but what is claimed is that at the beginning there was a singularity, which was a unified form of energy, which was in a very concentrated, highly organized, low entropy state. And then it transformed into the four fundamental forces which are in operation in the universe. So energy is a force, and it is classified in gravity, strong and weak force, and electromagnetic force. And they hold basically the universe together based on the laws of physics. But you cannot equal our thinking or our spirit to these forces. These are distinct things.
Well, I don't know. Do you guys get what I'm asking though about what is the spirit?
Yes.
How do you describe what that spirit is? What it's made of? Is it some kind of esoteric goo that's floating around, or are we? Is our consciousness a mere thought that isn't embodied in anything. But I don't think so. What we're told is that we have a soul, we have a spirit. Within man is the spirit of man. Now, what is within us that animates us? Uh, that is what our spirit is. Our spirit is that which is within this material body that animates us, that it allows us to think and work with consciousness.
That's where the word animate comes from.
Yes.
And if anyone out there studies Carl Jung, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes. So
all that.
Exactly. So I contend that the spirit has to be something rather than nothing, and that it's that spirit that possesses consciousness. And the spirit, the only thing left, if it's not material, if our spirit is not made of matter, and I agree with you, it's non-physical. So the only thing that leaves is an energy, a conscious energy.
Yes, but it wouldn't be the energy which is operating in our universe. It would be some kind of different energy then.
But if God is omnipresent and God is energy, doesn't that explain the energy that's everywhere in the universe? Dark energy, for instance, is said to be omnipresent. So, and omnipotent over the universe. So,
yeah, that would be some kind of pantheism, and I don't think this is true.
Well, I'm just saying, I think it describes God rather well. Every attribute of dark matter and dark energy is an attribute given to us about God that's contained in the Bible. Absolutely every single one. So,
I mean, if you think about NDEs where people have out-of-body experiences, where they are coming out of their body, they see their body laying down on the bed, but then they are floating in the room and so forth. They go even to other rooms, or people which have even NDEs go to heaven and see Jesus. There are so many reports in regards of that. But I mean, if that would be some kind of energy which was in operation, it would be something physical. And I think that our mind isn't physical. You can open up your skull and you will not find the location of your thoughts or of your spirit, or measure it somehow. So I think it's not physical.
Well, that's the interesting thing. Dark matter and dark energy, you can't see it. You can't observe it. You can only observe it.
It's certainly a very interesting field of investigation and of exploration. I agree with you. And I've thought very hard in regards of all these things which we are discussing now. And I tried to come to a conclusion that eventually idealism would be true, that everything is not physical, but just mind. But I've not gone anywhere with that, because I think there is a clear distinction between energy and the mind.
See, I don't believe that, though. What I'm saying is the way you're characterizing it is not what I believe. I don't believe that matter does not exist. I believe matter does exist. I just believe that it's the physical manifestation of the energy that is us, because we are being observed. Therefore, our wave function has collapsed, and we appear as material beings.
Yeah, I think even some famous scientists, like, I don't want to say it was Carl Sagan, but they said it was something along the lines of "you are the universe observing itself." Maybe it wasn't even a scientist. I don't know. I just remember that quote.
I would agree with the comment in the side chat. I would agree.
Yeah, we've
with
been
that.
getting a lot of comments. This is a very active stream. Thank you, everybody, for.
Which one did you say you agree with?
Energy is physical. Consciousness is metaphysical. I agree with that.
It's the one and only Mo L, one of my bouncers.
Mo is so cool, man. Thanks for being here, Mo.
Yeah, people give Mo a bad rap. He's a cool guy. We hang out with Mo all the time.
Somebody thinks that I believe in naturalism, but it's not the sort of naturalism. I would agree to a point, but it's not the sort of naturalism that's taught in schools. I believe in the naturalism that we observe, and that what we observe as natural, uh, even including the double slit experiment, I believe all of this points towards the fact that there is a spiritual world. There is a world we do not see, a world we do not observe, and that there are higher powers that brought forth all of this and observed it when it was brought into creation. The higher power being God.
I want to point something out.
That
There's
we're
a lot of
John's channel with
arrogance.
Muslim moderators and Christian guests. That just has to do with my sense of humor.
I guess we got the two Mo's serving as bouncers, which I think is great. The moderators. But I've noticed largely among the moderators, yeah, you like it? Between like atheists and theists, or folks that tend to believe in a higher power or a something else beyond our current understanding of the universe, I've noticed that a large amount of intellectual arrogance exists in the atheist community because they are very uncomfortable with not knowing. The phrase "I don't know" is very uncomfortable, and they exist there in theistic circles as well. Like, there are some people that simply cannot abide by not knowing or not having kind of like a blind faith in either religion or science. And there are some people that take a great joy in not knowing and unraveling those mysteries and having them open before them in either a scientific way or a spiritual way or both. And I think that's where a lot of missed opportunities for discussion occur, is in that fear of not knowing.
But what I see very frequently is atheists confessing, when you hard press them, that they confess, well, we don't know, and it's perfectly honest, and I'm fine with not knowing. But I say always this: we live in an age where scientific knowledge is advanced as never before in human history. And already 2,000 years ago, the Apostle Paul said in Romans 1:19 to 22 that we are not justified not to believe because creation or the physical world points to a creator. And the Apostle Paul, he didn't have even a fraction of knowledge of the scientific knowledge that we have today. And therefore, for that reason, I say, I think nobody today is justified to say, I don't know, because I give this example. If you have a 1,000 different possible explanations for X, and then you say, I have not investigated all explanations, therefore I cannot give you an answer, that would be justified. But in regards of the God question, it is just basically two options. It is a dichotomy. God exists or he does not exist. And if he does not exist, then you have no explanation in regards of all these variegated phenomena which we observe in the physical universe. But if you posit an intelligent, powerful, eternal creator, then you have actually good and justifiable explanations, namely an intelligence which is powerful enough to instantiate all these things.
Well, the I don't know is not resting so much on the final conclusion of the reality of the universe. The I don't know is in all of the things that we encounter on a day-to-day. Like, some people struggle with the fact that there's suffering in the world, and there's a big I don't know why there's suffering in the world question behind that. Or some people don't understand how exactly Mary got impregnated. Like, what exactly is the process behind that? If I asked you what God did to impregnate Mary, like what the exact steps were, you'd probably say you don't know, right?
No, we also have many issues that we cannot answer. I agree with you there, but
so what I'm saying is,
what they say,
with not knowing, and some people are comfortable with not knowing, and find a lot of joy in not knowing, because the answer might reveal itself or it might not, and you get to revel in the mystery.
Well, I ask, when someone says I don't know, I ask, if I show you a complex machine for a specific purpose, and you have two options, someone intelligently designed it or not. Obviously, it was designed. And if I show you a factory, it's the same answer. If I show you a computer, it's the same answer. If I show you an energy turbine, it's the same answer. And then when I say analogously, we see all these things in the natural world, and then the person says, oh, but we don't know where all these things in nature came from. Then, I mean, where is the logic here?
Hmm. Right. I mean, there are some theists that are comfortable with the answer because, you know, God willed it that way. There are some theists that are not comfortable with that answer. And, you know, like when I was a kid, I always wanted to know the whys and hows. There are atheists that are, you know, uncomfortable with not knowing whether abiogenesis is the final say in our history as a living organic species on this planet, or if it's not, you know?
Yeah, but if you ask me how did God do it, then I will also answer I don't know.
Hmm.
Because we don't have an explanation of how God instantiated everything, how he created life, how he created the universe, how he fine-tuned it. I also don't know. Why is there a God rather than not? Why is there something rather than nothing? I don't know. So yes, I
Right.
agree with you. Also, we have many unanswered questions, but I can say I don't know why God exists, but I think God explains our existence.
Sure. I'd be comfortable with that.
Yeah, I would know how to answer a lot of things. Some things I could answer generally or vaguely, but I would have to say the overall how. I don't know.
I don't
The
know either.
the whys I could only guess, you know. But my guess to the why would be if you have this thing that is omnipresent in a nothing, a void of nothing, then the creation of the universe would be sort of like a project. I don't know.
Hmm.
And what would the creation of life be? Why? Why? Why life?
Yeah.
Well, if you were a consciousness, wouldn't you want something? And then if you had something, wouldn't you want someone to share thoughts and feelings? And you see, I view God as a being. Now, he's invisible. He's not material. He's omnipresent. And yet he's conscious. He thinks. He's capable. That's why, that's another reason I lean heavily towards him being an energy, like dark matter, dark energy.
Hmm.
Uh, he's not just some esoteric imaginary thought that isn't embodied in something. Now, we would say that God is not embodied in flesh. That's true. But he's embodied in the void of nothing. He's omnipresent in that void of nothing that includes everything. You have a void of nothing around creation, and God is all of it. God is everywhere. He's in all. He's through all. The Scripture tells us. But yes, if we're created in God's image, I want something. I want someone.
I
You know,
remember there was someone which said that, in John 1, it says, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And what are words? Words are um, uh, frequencies. When you speak, you have a frequency uh, of waves, right? And then that person made the connection of waves with strings, string theory, right? Because in the subatomic particles of quarks, they say they are energies, and these energy states are kind of a string, right? They are a wave, and then quantum mechanics comes into to it again, and um, there are interesting thoughts in regards of that,
Yeah, I agree. On that thought, of all places, I was like reading this tarot book that I picked up at a library that was very deeply rooted in Jewish mysticism, and this set me on a path. But when you were talking about, the first few verses of the first chapter of Genesis, where it says, the Word and God
In the
being the Word.
beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That is a very profound sentence, because there was a scientist in the 19th century. His name is Herbert Spencer, and he did find out that everything that exists can be characterized in 5 things. One is space, and the other is energy, the other is action, and I forgot now the 5 things. But then when you investigate Genesis 1:1, the sentence incorporates everything which exists. In the beginning, time, God, action, God, I don't remember what God is in that, created action, the heavens, space, and earth, matter. So
Right. I just want to finish real quick what I was saying. And I misspoke. It's not the first few chapters of Genesis or first verses of Genesis. It's John, what you were quoting. Yeah. In the beginning was the Word, etc., etc. In Jewish mysticism, the name for God, Jehovah, right? Yahweh is it comprises 4 letters. Yeah. I forgot. It's like YW.
Yod, hey, wow,
Yeah.
hey.
Yeah. Yod, hey, wow, hey. So each of those represents a specific alignment with a gender. So yo, right, would be masculine. Hey would be feminine. And then the other one would be neutral. And then it repeats in this cycle that continues forever. So the word of God, the name of God, is this endless oscillation, like what you were saying, Eric, like a vibration frequency. The word is a frequency. I sound totally schizophrenic right now. I hope this is making sense to somebody.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, good. So I
The
mean,
Hasidics
that,
figured it
that's
out. They drew a little fucking gram, right? It's like a little.
yeah.
Yeah, the Hasidics figured it out. I didn't buy any of that. It's
Oh,
ridiculous.
well, I thought that was really cool because in every tradition that you find, both in Eastern and Western mysticism and philosophy, masculine and feminine energies, for lack of a better word, are always associated with what is there and what is not there, right? The positive and the negative, the dark and the light. It's this continuous entanglement of a word oscillating through
yeah,
the universe as the universe.
I thought that the name Yahweh means I am, or I was, I am, and I will be, or simply meaning
Well,
existence.
Right,
they
but
proposed
John
that.
was so the word in John, the word in John in Greek is logos,
Yes.
and that's
No, they
y'all already
propose
know
that,
this.
that Yahweh stands for a more primitive Ekia Sarah, like what he says to Moses at the burning bush.
Mhm.
Right? Ekia say Ekia. Right? They propose that that's what YHW Yod Hey Wow Hey means. But then there's others like like Isaiah. We know him as Isaiah, but in Hebrew he was known as Yahweh, right? And that means saves, right? That Yahweh saves. So people started at some point to think that Yod Hey Wow Hey was Jesus.
Yeah, I believe that the name Yahweh is attributed to the Trinity, not only to God the Father, but also to God the Son, and also to God the Holy Spirit. But another interesting aspect is that if God created through His Word, what are words? Information. And that is basically what we see. The universe is grounded based on what? On physical laws, which are grounded on mathematical formulas. And life is also based on information which is stored in genes and in epigenetic codes and languages. So basically, everything is penetrated and held up by information. And life is also depending on signaling, which is also information. So you see what a very, very succinct characterization of life is chemistry and information. So information has a very predominant role in life, in biology, and that is something which correlates with Genesis and John 1:1, which says that God created through what? Through words, through information, and that's what we see. Everything in the universe is based on information.
I want to get that one, like at the burning bush, right, where he says no. He says that Jacob and Abraham had not known me as Yod He Waw He, right? And it says that the
Uh-huh.
angel of the Lord came down and spoke that I am the God of Jacob, Isaac, and Abraham. Do you believe that Yod He Waw He is I am that I am, or do you believe that's a revelation that he is Jesus, the coming Messiah, like they
Well, I
interpolated
can.
into Isaiah?
Well, I think that Jesus. I mean, Jesus also self-nominated himself, "I am," and when he said that to the Pharisees, they
Yes.
wanted to stone him because they thought that he was blaspheming because he was making himself um, to God the Father. But Christ actually describes himself as "I am" 7 times. I can quick
But
quote that here.
Wait,
so
before we do that, I want to ask. Maybe Taylor, right now would be a good time for a bathroom break. I could use a bathroom break.
all right, go take your bathroom break.
Thank you.
So I didn't get that. So like the God of the Old Testament, New Testament is Jesus, right?
I think it is the Trinity. So let me quote you here quick. Um, I am who I am in John 8:49 to
Yes.
58. Jesus
Before
answered
Abraham was, I am.
before Abraham was born, I am. And then he says,
Yeah. And
I
they picked up
am the
stone. They were gonna stone his ass. They heard
right,
that and they acknowledged, hey,
right,
this fucker's claiming he's God. So they
right,
picked up stones to
exactly.
stone him.
Yeah,
All right.
but he says also here in John 6:35, I am the bread of life. And in John 8:12, I am the light of the world. And in John 10:9, I am the door. And in John 10:11, 14, I am the good shepherd.
Yeah, those
And
are the
in
great I
John
ams.
11,
The
and
7
in
great
John
I
11,
ams.
and in John 11:25, I am the resurrection and the life. And in John 14:6, I am the way and truth and
Yeah, the
life.
way, the gate, the good shepherd.
And in John
I know the great
15,
I ams.
yeah, and then in John 15:1 and 5, I am the vine. So 7 times he is describing himself as I am.
Well, those are the great I ams, but the one where he says, before Abraham was, I
I
am.
am,
They
yes.
picked up snow. They acknowledged that he was saying he was God. There's
Yeah,
no doubt about that.
yeah,
But
exactly.
when right at the birth, there's 2 theories about the Tetragrammaton that I that are like acceptable among biblical scholars, and that's one of them because Isaiah, the most quoted book of Jesus, he it's literally Isaiah means that Yahweh saves, and that's all Isaiah talks about is salvation through the Messiah and through God, right? It's God saves. That's his name. Yeshayahu, Yahweh saves. So that interpolated that Yahweh was Jesus, and Jesus was a physical reincarnation of like God incarnate.
Right.
So that's the position that Yahweh means Jesus.
Yes. But Yahweh also means God the Father, and it means also God the Holy Spirit. So all three have that title, Yahweh.
So you believe that God the Father and the Holy Spirit interact as I
I
am, right?
believe,
Like every
yeah,
time that like in the Bible where he says I am Yahweh, right, or I am the Lord, which is over and over again. You'll find that 5,000 times in the Old Testament.
Yeah, I believe that God is three persons, one substance. That substance is divine, and they can dwell one in each other. So God the Father knows always what the Holy Spirit does or what he feels, and um, the same goes with the Holy Spirit and vice versa.
But every time we find "I am the Lord," right, that tetragrammaton appears. That's that's why it's being translated Lord in all capitals.
Right, right, yes.
So every time, all 5,000 times in the Old Testament, he says, "I am the Lord." Is that "I am the Trinity"? "I am Jesus"? What is your take on that?
I think it is the Trinity.
Were you on EA Dawa?
Yeah, but it is some time ago.
Yeah. I don't
Some
like to
time
talk
ago,
about
I
it.
think.
We don't. I'll have EA
But
Dawa maybe one day, but not today, not tomorrow.
no, I mean, last time that I went there, I asked them if it was Jesus that was crucified, and they claimed that it was the guy, I think Cyrene, something, which carried the cross, and they said that they crucified this man, not Jesus. And then I said, well, where do you have that from? And they said, well, it's in the Bible. And I said, well, show me in the Bible. And they had a very hard time to actually back that up in the Bible. And the next time when I asked Khalil Allah, I think he said, well, I believe it is in fact not Jesus that was crucified. I mean, for me, after that, I saw no meaning to have further conversations with them.
Well, I'll clean their air a little bit. All right. I've been on EA Dawa. I've been on the Empathetic Atheist show. I know EA Dawa very well. I know who he is. I don't like to talk about him, and he knows why. And the right, so we have, yeah, and he's like, I'll say for the record, because I don't want to talk about him too much. But he's a fucking idiot, bro. He doesn't know his fucking Bible. He's not somebody. He doesn't even know about Islam very well. He's getting better, but he's talking. He talks ahead, like light years ahead of where he's actually at.
Yeah, he was an atheist. First, he was a Christian, then he became an atheist, and then now he is a Muslim. And I mean, claiming that it wasn't Jesus that was crucified and claiming that this is in the Bible is just something which I think any further conversation is
And
wasting time. So I don't want. Um,
we've covered EA Dawa. I've known the guy for years, so I've covered it out of respect for my Muslim friend. I don't take what he says to the Muslims, nor do I take anything he says about Christians and to the Christians, because
yeah.
I don't think the guy's very smart.
Yeah, but I mean, he thinks he's smart, so whatever.
But yeah, he can think whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had me on his program once and to discuss the Trinity. And he said it didn't make any sense. It was incoherent to him.
Yeah, he cannot understand how Jesus can be God and human at the same time. How he
Hey,
can have two natures. So that these are the topics that they constantly try to attack.
mm-hmm. Yeah, but we all have several natures. You know, we're fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters. We all have many, many natures. To say Jesus was God, that God. We have to remember, God is a title that we have given to something that is the creator of all that is. That's all it is. That's all it is. So to say something is God is to say it is the creator of all that is. And then if you want to understand the Trinity, all you have to understand is a father, a mother, and a son. If you can understand a family, you can understand the Trinity. It's
All right,
that.
this is good. So there's a father, the father and the mother, and the son, and the Trinity.
Well, no, I'm just saying if you can understand a father, a mother, and a son, if you can understand a family, you
Yes.
can understand a Trinity. You know, all it is three beings. The way I explained it to him is Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 3, the Shema. where it says, it translated, the English translation is, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. Lord. But if you look at the Hebrew, it's very different, very different. And if you put that with 1 John, the what is it, the Johannine comma, where it says, "And now abides the Father, the Word, and the Holy Spirit, and these three are one." And then you take that to Deuteronomy 6:4, and you look at the Hebrew, and it says, "Hear, O Israel, Elanhu Yahweh, Yahweh Echad." Yahweh Elanhu, Yahweh Echad. What that is actually saying is Yahweh, or YHVH, which is always translated Lord. So the Lord overall is Elanhu, which is a plural form, possessive plural for Elohim. So it's saying that Yahweh is our Elohim. Yahweh Echad. Yahweh is one, but Echad means not just one, like I have one cup here, but Yahweh Echad would be more like if you have a rope that's made of like 3 cords that are tied together. It's a plural one. It's a one made up of many things, more than one thing. So basically what it's saying is, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord overall are more than one Elohim united together as one, or in agreement as one." So if you have the Father, the Word, and the Holy Spirit in the New Testament, and hero, or then you have like what is it in Isaiah where it says that the Son is this. You have the Son and the Father. There's several places you can look at the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Bible, Old and New Testament. And all the Trinity are these 3 beings that agree together in one. That's all they are. The Father is not the Word is not the Holy Spirit is not the Father. They are 3 individuals that are united as one Yahweh, one Lord over all creation. It's very, I don't know. I get it. I think it's real simple.
Yeah, I don't think it is simple, but it's basically 3 persons, 1 substance.
So you guys are united in Trinity. You guys are both Trinitarians.
I'm a Trinitarian.
How about you? You're a Trinitarian, I assume, Otangelo.
Yes.
So you guys are united in Trinity.
Yeah, I agree with what
Eric,
Eric explained, which is very interesting, actually, with the Elohim. And there are passages in the Old Testament where God speaks of himself in plural. Let us go and see what is going on with Babel, and let us go and do this and that. So God speaks of himself in plural.
Mm-hmm.
But you remember when I went on there and I showed them how my air conditioner had 3 modes on it?
Yes.
You remember that? My air, it can blow hot, it can blow really hot, and it can be everybody.
So guys, it's late here. And I'll go sleep. Taylor, next time if you can do it an hour earlier or so, that would be easier for me, because you started at my time. It's midnight, and now it's 2:14 in the morning.
Huh?
Yeah, I think we've reached a good stopping point, anyways. I feel pretty good. I wish Mo would come on because he's got some really good takes on the Trinity and things about that, but he's shy, a very shy guy.
Yeah, you guys opposed for me to send in the Muslims the links? I said no atheists, and I don't like having atheists on with this because I've already seen that a million fucking times. The same. I get sick of the over and over and over again. But I do like to see interactions between theists.
And I'd like to say too, before before you take off, brother, I enjoy following your posts, man. I'm glad to be your associated with you and friends on Facebook, and
Cool.
I appreciate what you do. And I try to support your posts when I see them up now and then. So I just wanted to you to know that I appreciate you.
Cool. Yeah, I
Aw.
appreciate your comment.
Look at Taylor getting some love. Aww.
Yeah, and I owe you at least like 2 appearances on your channel.
Yeah, you're invited whenever you guys want. We can
Send me over there. You can put
set
me in the
up
hot seat.
something
I'm the
and-
guest there, so like you can put me on. Say what's this?
Yeah,
John
if you
about?
have some guest which wants to join together, I can set up a stream and we can have some chat at my channel.
I
Set
want to
it up.
get Moel in there, dude. I want to get Mo up here. I know he's not gonna do it, but
Alright.
I want him to.
I'm gonna let the Muslims in.
Okay.
'Cause they've
Okay,
been-
so have a good one. See you next
Yeah,
time. Thank you,
Otangelo
Taylor.
and Eric, thank
Have a
you
nice-
both so much for coming on. It was a pleasure seeing you again, Otangelo, and to meet you for the first time, Eric. You were both amazing to have
we'll
on.
let the Muslims.
It's a
in.
pleasure. It's nice meeting you and Taylor. I love you, brother. It's always good to see you, man.
Oh, Taylor.
Hold on.
All right.
Hold on, we're gonna bring the Muzzies in.
Otangelo had to go to sleep.
Yeah, he gotta go. But we'll bring the Muzzies in and see what they gotta say. So if you wanna hang out, we got some time.
Yeah, if we could get the 2 Mo's up in here to talk about the Trinity. Because I don't know shit about the Trinity. I don't have any argument this way or that way.
You're a fascinating co-host. I've enjoyed interacting with you.
Thank you. Oh man, we've had so many great folks. We've had Aaron Raw. Like listening to everybody talk has been such a pleasure. Like I've only done.
Yeah,
This
we
is our
keep
3rd
it
episode
going.
of the Jawnspott. And
When
we've
Ray
had
without
guests.
Ray, it's like we're keeping it. Ray wanted it to be more serious. He wanted it to be a bigger channel, and like I always kind of like brushed that off. But now, right, I got a fucking dead man's wish on my back, so like I
You've
have
got
to.
a legacy to uphold, man.
Yeah.
The legacy of John.
So it's like it's a we're gonna do what he wanted to do.
Yeah. And plus,
have
I mean,
to.
it's
The
fun to talk
obligation.
like this because I notice on like Facebook and stuff, all the debates, they tend to get really crazy because folks aren't talking face to face. And I know this isn't exactly face to face. Like, I can't smell you, you can't smell me, you know, things like that. But I feel like people, you know, have a lot of interesting things to say, and it would be really arrogant of me to assume that my point of view is the most interesting one. So it's always nice to be able to learn from our guests. And also learn from Taylor that apparently the dinosaurs farted themselves to death.
Yes, they. My kid came home from school, and he's like, "Hey, you're never gonna believe this," and I'm like, "No, I will, because I've heard everything from I heard about the monkey Mayflower, and he said, yeah, the dinosaurs farted themselves to death."
Oh, Mo thinks I want revenge. No. Yeah, Mo's just about relaxing and chilling out. All right, shall we? Well, I don't know, Eric. Are you still wanting to hang around?
Young Mo's coming. That young
Mo's
Mo's
coming?
coming.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I've actually I'm a little bit past a couple of things that I need to do, but I want to thank you guys for having me, and I'll bring you guys on anytime you can do it.
Yeah,
All right,
Love to have
maybe next time we'll bring you.
we did that one where John. Remember when John Lee said that? John Lee said that the Bible or what? No, he said that Jesus didn't have any. He didn't suffer. And I came off for that.
Yes. Yes, that was crazy, man. He says some weird stuff.
Can you invite John Lee back? I want to hear that crazy stuff.
Well, John Lee doesn't respond to posts. He's too infatuated with the clubhouse, like young Mo.
Maybe I'll infiltrate and find him and convince him.
Well, we can
But it
find
sounds
John
like
Lee. John
Eric
Lee was
is-
supposed to come on with Otangelo, but I
Oh.
got sick of waiting for John Lee, so I asked Eric, and Eric came. So
Yeah, because Eric is a real one. He came through.
Wow.
And it's past his bedtime, and he needs to go to bed, and so do I. I think maybe we need to do like a part 2 or something with young Mo involved.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Well, God bless you guys. Have a great night. Thank you for having me. And yeah, look me up and we'll be friends. Take it
I
easy.
will.
Yeah,
All right,
do
you
that
take
for
care,
real.
Eric.
Yeah, you too. Bye bye.
Yeah, I'll send
Bye-bye.
you the link to Eric's profile. You got
Yeah.
Young Mo. Young Mo, did you come here on a Trinity hunt and get the ass in?
He's the Trini Popo.
Yep.
Yo, Eric was trying to go to bed, man. And then you brought young Mo in. He's trying.
Young Mo was about to come in here. It's like, oh, fuck Trinity.
And he's got the crumbs.
they both
Man.
dip before you got. We're gonna eventually have that. I promise you.
Yeah, I just wanna like
You're a moderator in the chat room. You're gonna get the first piece of the Trinity pie.
Yeah, I think so too. Cause like young Mo was actually saying some really interesting things when was it Aaron Ra that was on?
No, but you fucked that show up. But it's fine. That's in the past.
Wait, I did?
no, I did.
Okay.
That's in the past.
Yep.
Yeah,
Let's
we're all free.
Let's keep it that way. But no, I had like I wanted to hear their responses to the argument I pose against atheists or Christians, and it goes both ways against atheists and Christians.
Yeah, you can do that. You just can't do that on a show where we're having a cordial discussion with people. We're not trying to have no
Cordial.
EA Dawa show. When we have
I'm
people
quite-
on they're not under the impression they're gonna be attacked and shit. Like we don't want to ambush them. But no, like I told you, you could come on. We got the preacher wanted you to like he wants to talk to you, so like that's a consensual. And then we'll eventually get the Trinity thing going on in here. You can definitely be a part of that. You got first dibs on that.
I'm quite curious to know their thoughts on that because I did mention of like the LPD in the chat, but I don't know if they're familiar with that. I would like to know their thoughts. Yeah, it's a thing that is quite well known in the Christian tradition. It's very well known.
Look, these guys
Goes back
dip.
to the
I tried to set the stage for the Trinity thing, but they both left like right away when you showed up.
Because yeah, it's morning here, right? They're like kind of midnight, and so it's 10 a.m. in the morning. So
It's 10:22. Damn,
Yeah,
you're 12
10.
hours.
it's 10:22 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, he's
Damn,
living
you're
in the
12
future,
hours
man.
ahead.
Yeah, I'm in the future.
So it's Sunday.
I'm talking from the future.
Hey,
He's from the future,
who
bro.
won? Did the
future.
Raiders? Mo, can you check if the Raiders won?
Raiders? What's the
What's with
Raiders?
the reason?
You
What's
told
with
me
the
if the
Raiders?
you told me if the Raiders are winning. You're already on Sunday morning.
Oh yeah, I got you. I'm not into like I don't watch a lot of sports except for like football.
Let me know so I can wake up and place my bet.
No, I don't watch a lot of sports apart from like football, soccer. Like I don't know how you say that in your countries, but it's like
Yeah, we say soccer like a bunch of plebes.
depends where you
Free
live. So.
naturalist is a past tense being. He's a
There's
was.
real football and fake football, and that's the one where they kick the little ball around.
Which
That's
little
not fake.
That's the fake football. Yeah, that's soccer.
Dude,
Bro.
soccer. Hey, I'm gonna say, dude, soccer makes way much more sense than football. Football makes no sense.
Exactly.
They call it that. They call it that so people understand how to play. they use their
Dude,
foot.
Okay, so the rules for football are absurd. They make no sense. They're confusing. They're weird. Soccer,
Right.
you get ball into goal. That's it.
You kick the ball.
You kick ball,
Yeah,
goal.
you kick ball, go. Exactly my point.
Huh. American football is weird.
No, it's not. You watching it when you soccer. You're watching the same game, the whole. But like football, you're not. It's like the clock is like the whole thing.
So
You
is
got
in
the
soccer.
clock makes the whole game change.
If I wanted to watch a sport with a clock, I'd watch chess. Football's
Definitely.
weird. Yeah, exactly.
It's so intense. I was just watching Queen's Gambit. Speaking of chess, I know you guys following Queen's Gambit. It's a good show.
Queen?
Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The other one with the girl with the eyes.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good show.
All right,
Jolly
Free
good.
Naturalists, take it easy, man. We'll see you.
Take care, man.
We live every Sunday and Saturday, and I'm gonna eventually go on Otangelo's show to talk about Johnism. So I owe people appearances. Nobody's asked me. They only asked Pukov. I wonder why.
That's because I'm the Grand Temple Harlot, and everyone wants a piece of the Grand Temple Harlot. You know what I
I'll
mean?
bet.
I got that cake.
But yeah, Mo, you coming to debate the preacher, right?
Oh shit!
When, because it's on a tight schedule these days. So let me know.
Are you gonna debate the preacher in a couple of weeks? Because he
In
said
a couple of
yes.
weeks. I just said yeah. But you said that it's pointless,
Yeah.
so I was like, I had second
This one-
thoughts whether I debate him or not.
This
What
Wednesday. This
Is
Wednesday
it-
is supposed to be Otangelo and the Faithless Father, but I don't know yet. That's still up in the air. But I was gonna set you up with the preacher in a week from Wednesday.
So is it gonna be a weekend?
Well, you want to do it on the weekend?
Yeah, I like the weekend.
You like Saturdays?
Yeah, I like the weekend.
So we'll set it up Saturday, and then I'll have Wednesday free. Not this Wednesday, but the following. So we'll set you up. Hold on. The fags are supposed to come on Saturday. So we'll do the following Saturday with you and the preacher. What's kawaii?
It means
Hawaii.
cute in Japanese.
Yeah, only an Asian would know what that means.
Yeah, only an Asian or a weeb.
I'm from Asia too.
But I'm gonna be on the preacher show on Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, she's gonna be on the preacher show doing a Bible study with the preacher.
Yes.
The little
I'm going
fucking
to be-
horse cheated on me.
Dude, honestly, once I found out that you put everybody get this Slim Jim, spicy Slim Jims in his ramen, red flag, man. I had to
She
call
left
it
me
quits.
for the preacher.
I did.
She left me for the fucking
Just for
preacher.
one day.
This
just
guy
taking a
fucking
short
chain
break.
smokes. I don't know what the fuck she sees in him, but like, she fucking leaving me for the preacher.
It's just one day. We're just taking a short break, Taylor. You know, just kind of
One
reassess
fucking
where
day.
we are.
You're gonna come crawling back. I guarantee you.
Hey, I'm about to get my learning on, okay?
This fool fucking smell like fucking straight up fucking Marble Reds, and that's it. Just Marble Reds and
I
fucking.
bet he doesn't smell worse than me right now. I smell horrible right now.
Would it count as cheating, bro? Cheating
So,
on a channel?
Yeah, I guess so.
But Katie going on a preacher on Monday, and then the preacher's coming back. He already said he wants to debate everybody. He doesn't give a fuck. He's a psycho. And that's the type of guy that Katie likes. She likes these fucking psycho internet preachers.
Yep. Off the wall. Like, honestly,
Psycho.
if they don't smoke Marb 100s, deals off.
Well, we got debate. The preacher wants to debate like everybody.
That's going to
And-
be exciting because we're all going to be reading Bible verses. We're all going to be learning
It's
things.
just gonna be you and the preacher.
No, when he comes to debate everyone.
Oh, when it comes to I don't know what the I guess you're right. He is just gonna read the Bible to Mo and say like you have to believe it or you're.
Oh,
It doesn't
the
care.
preacher. Oh, okay. I thought he's an atheist, right? I don't think he's a Christian.
He's a very different kind of Christian, I would say.
Yeah, sin don't exist anymore, and like, if you think it does, you're Satan.
No, you're sinning if you believe that sin exists.
Yeah, you're actually sinning if you believe it's sin, because Jesus killed all the sins. So those who sin are the devil.
Yeah.
Right. If you're physically sinning, young Mo, you're physically doing the things that the God of the Bible says you shouldn't do. All right. As long as you don't. I don't know. I'm gonna pause. I just don't understand that. You'll probably.
I want to
maybe-
understand more because it's not something I've ever heard, and I grew up Mormon, so I've heard a lot of different weird interpretations of the Bible because of the Book of Mormon, but I have not yet heard that one, so it's very interesting to me. I smoke
Speaking of
swishers and
Mormon,
cig after cig is just foul.
But the preacher will be back. This fool fucking had a whole conspiracy theory that we had him on the show to debate Matthew because we thought he would make a fool of himself.
Mhm.
But like,
speaking of
yeah,
Mormon,
Matt was our
Speaking
plan B if the other guy didn't show up, and the other guy didn't show up, so we had Matt.
I was gonna have Matt do both of them. It was a miracle that the preacher showed up because I don't have contact with the preacher until he gave us the email address. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
only knew the Raging Atheist.
Mhm.
So like I told, hey, Raging Atheist, you want to debate that preacher guy on my show? Go ahead. And he said, yeah, I'll do it. And right, he didn't show up, but the preacher was up in the comments messaging, and I said, all right, yeah, man, if you want to come on, for sure. But he had this whole conspiracy that me and the Rage set him up to debate Matthew.
whoa, it wasn't like preacher the same guy who was arguing that the Bibles are corrupted.
The Bible is what?
Corrupted.
That's what you guys are gonna debate.
I don't remember him saying that, but
I want to see if he can escape that little box.
I
Because he
still
did.
haven't escaped in
I
mine.
want to see if he can jump outside of that box and debate you on that.
No, if I'm gonna debate him, I'm gonna debate Strike for the Roots.
At the
Now,
roots,
I
he
have
said.
animosity towards him because he's stealing my woman from me.
Oh,
Dude,
Taylor. Slim Jims and ramen haven't tried
Yeah,
it yet.
you have
Neither
to.
have I.
Don't listen to her. She has like hormones and shit that conflict with her rationality. I know
do.
what I'm talking
do.
about. You put the Slim Jims and the ramen, you're gonna have a good ass fucking meal.
Unnecessary, disgusting, horrid, uncultured, and frightening is what that is.
speaking of ramen, I was about to have ramen noodles for breakfast.
Speaking of ramen, is Arn Ra, the raw man, coming back?
Ramen?
He will eventually. We just
Awesome.
can't bring Young Mo on because we'll fucking turn it into a shit show again.
Shit, yo.
Young Mo, I didn't realize how spicy you are, man.
Yeah, he's trying to get brownie points with the Dawa gang.
Nah, dude,
Brownie?
he's like the spicy Slim Jims to your ramen, dude. Just
He's trying to get Dawa points.
Christ.
All I saw was that the guy was like bullying Christian. I don't know.
he
Oh,
came in on a fucking shining armor and shit to save the Christians.
yeah. Saved the day.
Oh man.
No,
Well-
Private Wars, you have to try ramen noodles. Don't listen to Pukov. If you put you get some spicy Cheetos, boil the spicy Cheetos until there's no more spicy Cheetos left. It's just like a red boil, and chop some Slim Jims up and throw into it. Then throw your ramen in there with a crack of egg on it. Then make it some real ramen.
God, what the hell, man?
Just
Okay, so
add
no. First of all,
I have to run to the
Private
bathroom
Wars-
again pretty soon because I ate that, but it's still worth it.
see, that's what it is. If you eat that ramen, see, I only know this from experience, right? Taylor sent me some to try, and I tried it, and that's exactly how I got the Pukov.
That's how he got the Pukov.
Puka. So I add a lot of MSG in my ramen. More MSG means more, more flavor out of ramen.
Wait, you put Hennessy in your ramen?
No, MSG, not Hennessy.
MSG.
I'm a Muslim. I won't be using Hennessy or anything.
Yeah, MSG is a really nice little flavor thing. I've heard that it will put holes in your brain, but I've also heard
Pukov
that
put MSG on everything. She
well,
put
of
it
course
on,
I do.
She give her
Same
son
here.
little Ritz crackers and peanut butter and put MSG on it.
I
So
would.
Yeah, it's
It's got
good.
the umami taste. Second of all right, if you are trying to I don't know, butcher a dog that you found on the street that you want to, use up as some sort of snack food in your drinking game, if you just cook that dog straight up, if you eat that dog, raw dog that dog in your mouth, it's not going to taste good. You have to put MSG in it.
MSG, exactly.
Yo. This is not the kind of channel we run here. Don't say shit like that to people in Pakistan or anywhere. Anybody. It's late enough for our audience to be 18 plus, but we still don't condone anything like that. So, okay.
By the way,
There's nothing wrong with what I said.
by the way,
that was extremely inappropriate.
people eat rats. with
You're lucky
MSG.
I'm wearing headphones. I got a fucking 6-year-old kid right here.
I apologize, audience. I heard MSG was safe but bad in high doses. That's what
Yeah, everything is bad in high doses. Anything. You put water in high dose, you might get killed. But drink a lot of water. If you have salt, you die from salt. Simplest of things can kill you. High doses.
even me hanging out with Taylor for this extended amount of time, I've known him for a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. I've noticed that I am more radioactive now because of hanging out with Taylor.
So much toxicity.
It's
From
the
his
toxicity.
Exactly.
So much toxicity. It's toxic.
Does your pee glow in the dark too, like mine?
Is what?
Does your pee glow in the dark now, like mine does?
It does.
I'm gonna give you an STD. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Hey, I thought you're not supposed to talk about that sort of stuff on this channel.
No, we have to spread awareness.
That's true.
Spread awareness about STDs.
That's awareness.
It's awareness. It's educational.
Did you guys ever got STD in your entire life?
I've consistently had an STD since I was born.
Wait, what?
I am an STD.
Yeah, I'm a walking STD.
Do you think you're more STD than me, though?
I can look at a woman and give her STD.
Toxic Taylor to its supremacy.
Look at this. Dogs are yummy. That must be one of your fellow Asian people.
Yeah, Private Wars knows what's up. They know what's
Yeah,
going on.
exactly. Yo, Taylor, you should come to Japan. They'll make you eat cockroaches with MSG.
See?
I won't eat no cockroaches with MSG. That's Pukov's thing.
Well, you know what?
If
I
it
will
moves,
eat
it's edible.
cockroaches. And you better listen up here. When we get nuked, all right, when we get nuked and I'm the only one standing because I ate cockroaches and became invincible to, getting nuked or whatever, then who's going to be laughing at the end? Really? It'll be me.
Dude, I'd rather die than just eat these cute little animals.
Cute.
I
What's
don't
cute
get it.
about
Why do Asian people draw? They draw the animals that look all nice and cute and shit, then they fucking eat them mercilessly.
Because they're yummy. They're
Because
tasty.
they're yummy. Yeah, they taste better when they're cute.
They got the proteins, you know.
No,
The
no,
proteins
they
from it.
don't. You don't want to. You want to see. You want to like the animal that you like a fish, right? You go fishing. You want to see that fish. It's ugly, little big mouth. You don't want to put like a
Nah,
little kitty cat on the fucking stove.
I prefer eating cute fishes.
Look at they're tripping off of me throwing hot Cheetos in some boiling water, and they're talking about eating insect like crickets and cockroaches.
Forget crickets and cockroaches. People eat their penises.
Whoa! For real?
Yeah, for real. Dead penis.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. Just so I understand. Their own?
Not their own, like horse. Like they own horses and
Okay.
horse penis.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely. Like any part of the animal that's edible should be eaten.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Even their testes. Obviously, they cannot eat their own penises, so that would be weird. Like,
That's I mean, I don't know, maybe, Okay. So I'm not gonna say it. It's not appropriate for the stream. I'll
I
just
know
say-
it's not appropriate. But
I was gonna
Wait,
go.
you gonna say something inappropriate? It's okay. My daughter's passing out.
Well, no, it's like bad. So I'm just gonna read Private Wars' comment. The hot Cheetos versus insects. Insects are the future. Absolutely. They're already making like little, puffed snacks out of crickets.
yeah, exactly. I
Trying to
know
make,
that.
like, I don't know, like chicharron out of cockroaches.
Yeah, there have been things like since traditional time, in China and Japan. And in Taiwan, I saw like, snacks being made out of insects.
Yeah, I've eaten bugs
They
before.
have
They're good.
they have like fried rats. Have you ever eaten fried rats?
I have not tried rat.
Fried rats.
Not
Uh,
even a fried rat.
What about like let's say shark? Have you like guys tried eating shark?
No, that's a different kind of Asian.
Well, because near my city, like, it's like the seaport, right? So the seaport they get a lot of different kinds of things from the sea,
True.
and one of that is sharks, and they like eating shark
You see,
before the shark.
Yeah, I think the practice of shark fin farming, or I wouldn't even call it farming, it's mutilation. What it is. No, listen, bro. No, it's actually kind of horrible because instead of eating the whole shark, they just eat the fin. It's fucked up. If you're gonna
Yeah,
eat
shark
an
fin soup.
animal, yeah,
No,
shark
they
fin
eat,
soup. You
no,
need
they
to
eat
cook
the whole
shark.
thing. They eat the whole thing. In our city, they don't leave
No,
a single thing.
boy, they don't. They cut the fin off and they put the shark back in the water.
No, they
No
don't.
fins.
Not,
Yeah,
not
they
here.
Yeah,
Not
poor
here.
surfers. The surfers don't know it's coming anymore. See the
Not by here. Oh, not here. Like people really like the delicacies, right? It's a traditional thing. They eat the whole shark, the whole thing. They don't leave a single thing.
As they should, yes. That should
The shark
be
is
how it's-
fucking disgusting fish, man. It's like mercury ridden.
Is it?
It's leather. I ate a leopard shark. Me and my homeboy caught like 4 sharks, and we were just like, all right, we're gonna eat one. We took it and we ate it. It tasted like shit. It's not a
Okay.
good
Where
fish
did
to
you
eat,
catch leopard sharks?
huh?
Where did you? How?
No.
No, but I went fishing with my boy at Paradise Pier, right in the San Francisco Bay Area, and that's all, like all they have is sand and leopard sharks. because like our bait, that's all we could get. Like the sharks were biting, nothing else. 'Cause the water was too cold, and we decided, hey, we're gonna eat one of these sharks, and that shark tasted like shit. There's a reason why people don't eat sharks. The
Yeah, it's
shark
not
fin soup is a delicacy, but you're not really eating the shark.
But I prefer the cod fish over any fish in the entire world.
Right, because like the shark fin, the fin part, right? You don't get a big fin on anything but like a bluegill or a tiger shark or a great white. That's where you get enough fin to make an actual soup.
The juiciest of all fishes is definitely codfish. You
But you don't want
cannot
to eat
compare.
shark. There's too much mercury in that shit. Sharks are like
Yeah,
the worst of the ocean.
Well,
They're
yes, because
human
they're eating
garbage
all the fish
disposal,
with
or
mercury.
they're just like swimming garbage disposals. They eat anything.
Same.
dangerous. Yeah, it's quite dangerous, toxic. Not
But
like Taylor.
the other fish are picky. They eat certain things. Like
Yeah, it's
the
'cause their
sharks
mouths are
don't.
really small.
The sharks will bite anything they find.
Sounds like my dog.
Oh, your dog likes to bite.
Yeah, if you think like pork, right? The sharks are the pork of the ocean, man. They just eat whatever the fuck they want.
And tuna are the chicken of the sea.
They eat off the bottom. They eat off the top. They eat whatever the fuck. They eat stingrays and shit. That's why they're saying like they chill on the coast and surf, and they're just hanging out, and people are wondering why they're there, and they're eating stingrays.
Hook up. Have you ever tried eating puffer fish?
No, I would love to though.
My folks died from eating puffer fish.
Who died?
My folks, like my good old pals, friends, they died eating puffer fish
They
because
died?
the chef didn't prepare the fish well. If they don't prepare it well, you can die because it's highly toxic. Like
Well,
it's
yeah.
really it's a lot of toxins in the fish, you know. So if you don't prepare it well, if you don't like leave out things, then you can die from eating it.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Did you get paralyzed and then few weeks from paralyzed, your organs start shutting down and you die.
Oh, maybe I don't want to try it.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're risking your life. Yeah, unless you're eating off from like a expensive restaurant, right? Like unless you are eating off from like a good, high
Mm-hmm.
end. Because what the guys were eating were from like good, restaurant. Just like random chef.
How many? Do you know how many people die a year eating?
A lot of people from Japan die eating puffer fish because they fish out puffer fish and they eat. When the fact is that they should be eating with like who knows how to
It's more
make
than
fish.
100, Mo. It's
Oh,
more
is
than,
it?
yeah, per year. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. More than 100 per year.
Yeah. Well, it changes per year, but it looks like, I mean, that's the first thing that I saw. So I'll just Google. I don't know how reliable that is, but wow. Well, I know what I'm requesting as a last meal in case I ever get the death penalty. It's fugu, puffer fish, just.
And another thing, like there's a thing going on. I was reading on that, like, because one of my friends he's into ecology stuff, right? Ecosystem stuff, right? So he was telling me that like there's a high like chance of like getting microfibers in fish, right? There are a lot of
Yeah,
microfibers going in the fish.
microplastics. Yeah.
Yeah, microplastics, and they go around in the fishes, and that really cause their organs to sometimes fail or sometimes, and what it does is that it releases some toxins inside there in the fish, which you guys end up eating. And even if you prepare it well, those toxins will enter your body, and it won't be short term. It'll be like a long term thing. So you will develop some diseases based off from that. It won't be killing you, but it will be long term diseases ranging from some to some. I can't recall the names of each and every disease you can catch because And
So,
like
so Private Wars actually asked a question that I want to know the answer to too. Your folks that passed away from eating pufferfish, did they like sue or like pursue any legal action against whoever prepared the pufferfish, or like how did that turn out, if you don't mind me asking?
the guys, like obviously their parents, they don't have a clue where they went for eating out, right? So they don't know where they dine out. So they don't have a clue where they dined out. But the last time we spoke, they were about to go there, and that's my inference from what they told me, that they're gonna eat pufferfish, and they were telling me if I want to join them or not, and I had exams that day, so I was like, I'm preparing for my examination, I can't come, so I thought maybe I will join later, but then unfortunately they passed away. Once they came back home from dining out, they passed out. About to
My
like
God.
yeah, and they were rushed to the hospital, and
I'm so sorry to hear that, man.
yeah.
That it seems like just such a horrible way to go.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to join them, but yeah, but I had way for me to not join them.
That's crazy, yeah. Like you could have been one of them.
I could have been one of them.
Well, I've got something that I might add to my bucket list, but I've got second thoughts. That is eating pufferfish.
No, they didn't have clue about the guys who made that.
Only Asian people would eat something that could kill them, like a bat or a fucking puffer fish.
Bat, bro, bat.
Hey.
Bat stew is like delicious. Bat stew is like killer. Not in the sense he kills, but in the,
Yeah,
it's,
don't be making those jokes there.
in the sense that it's pretty good. Yeah. I prefer like hen legs. Have you tried stew of hen legs?
Hen legs?
Hen legs.
Like chicken legs?
Yeah, chicken legs stew, like soup. So that is
Oh yeah.
like on a totally different level. Like it's like out of this world.
It is so good. Anything, honestly, my favorite types of food besides fish are things that have a lot of cartilage and fat and gristle, like tripe, the tripe, the chicken feet. You know when you get like a chicken wing and there's that little cap on the end of like the bones, like on chicken drumsticks and chicken wings. Oh my God, that's the best part.
I love chicken wings. Like I love chicken wings. Whenever I stop by KFC, I get a whole bucket of chicken wings.
Chicken wings.
Chicken wings are halal.
Yeah, chicken wings are halal.
All right. Wait, what about chicken feet? Is that halal?
Yeah, it's halal.
Oh. What about
Everything to do with chicken is halal. Everything to do with chicken is halal.
even the brain?
This disputed about some. Yeah, it's disputed, but not really. Because like, what's the rule of thumb is that anything with nutrition, as long as it's not, it doesn't contain some, contaminants or any kind of toxins or whatever case maybe, that could be used somewhere else, right? It's the principle is there. Something that's you can eat. The Malikis, there's a different thought school that just states anything that's edible can be eaten. Except for the pig, anything can be eaten. Yeah. While some have developed their principles.
Yeah, I think pig brain is probably the only kind of brain I haven't eaten yet that I want to try. I've eaten chicken brain, goat brain.
I don't understand. I don't understand how pig could be the cleanest animal in the world, yet like they eat a lot of shit.
Pukov will eat any biological matter she comes by.
I will, man.
Do you got the answer, Pugaf? Do you know the answer to this question?
Well, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Question is, how come pigs be the cleanest animals in the world, yet they eat a lot of shit?
Why? I don't know the answer.
Me neither. I'm trying to look into this
Are
because
they the cleanest? There's no way
yeah,
that they're the cleanest.
just look
If
up like they are like the cleanest of animals in the entire world. Just look up the cleanest. Just Google cleanest animal in the entire world.
There's no way that the pig is the cleanest animal in the whole world.
Just look up the cleanest animal in the entire world.
if you
Cleanest
eat if
animals.
look if you eat like the pig, you behave like the pig.
Oh my god, he's right.
Pigs are
Like,
not the cleanest animal in the world.
How
well,
come
not
they be the
according to
cleanest?
Google. They are.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are. By fact, they are the cleanest. But I don't
Look at
How
what
can
have.
they?
Mo said.
I
It's
don't have.
propaganda. Dude, pigs love filth. They love it. They're like dogs do it, but they salivate enough where they're right. They go in your garbage, but they salivate 'cause they don't have sweat glands. Pigs, on the other hand, they have to be dirty. You clean a pig, it's going right back in the mud.
Bro,
Well,
forget that. Like they eat a lot of shit. They
they
consume a
do
lot of
eat
shit.
everything.
Well, they can
They
handle
will,
it's like a billy goat can eat worse than a pig, but
So what I'm
they eat
reading is
shit.
that pigs don't shit where they eat or sleep, and that's like they're pretty.
well, they're smart. That's what I'm saying. They're
Yeah.
smarter animals than most animals. Like elephant's smarter than a pig, but a pig's pretty smart. They can do everything a dog can do. And plus, like pigs are smart animals. They got big noses and shit. They know when trouble's coming. They know
One
when
thing I
to.
know about one thing I know about pigs is that they like orgies more than anyone.
Pigs are the smartest
Yeah.
animal that you'll find
They
around.
like sharing their mates. They like sharing their mates with their friends. They would
I've
like
also
let's share your mates.
that a male pig orgasm can last half an hour. That's
But
crazy.
a pig's a better pet than a dog because like the pig will right like not all dogs are all that smart, but like pigs are like a pig will know its name and shit, and you can have a pig in your house and it'll be fun. It won't be the cleanest thing in your house, but it'll respond. Like it's not. You can train a pig to do basically anything.
Yeah. I want to train a pig to cook itself for me, my pleasure.
They can't sweat, which means they are dirty.
But
A pig can't sweat,
pigs are
which
not the
means they're
cleanest animals.
dirty.
That's fucking retarded. Cause I've seen pigs.
A
Pigs
pig is a
eat.
cuck. Oh
A
my
pig will
god.
eat. Like if you feed a pig whatever you're eating, it'll eat it. It's not like a
Oh yeah.
dog. There's things that dogs won't eat. Like there's nothing a pig won't eat. Like genuinely.
Have you tried feeding a dog chocolates?
But if like with a billy goat, because I remember back in the day they had goats and pigs and shit at the recycling center, and we used to take all the fucking like shit out the dumpster and feed it to the goat. The goats will eat the like beans and the can.
Yo, yeah, a goat would eat a tin can, man.
Yeah,
Goats
a
are
goat will
crazy.
eat whatever the fuck you feed it. Like a pig won't. A pig's smart enough to try to break the can open and eat the beans out of it.
What?
Yo, goats are not. They're not smart. They're not smart.
Yeah, I've
But
seen it.
it
I've
tastes
seen
good.
people.
I guess like
Seen dog
the
eat
pig has the
Cheetos,
stomach to eat shit. Like a dog doesn't.
Cheerios.
Like you can feed a
I,
pig
I,
chocolate, it won't die. You feed a dog chocolate, it'll die, or it'll get really sick and shit all over your house.
but but I've seen dog eat Skittles, and they didn't die out of eating Skittles, even though
You mean
Skittles have chocolate.
no? That's M&M's, bro.
I have Skittles. We have
Yeah,
M&Ms, but
Skittles.
I
No,
prefer Skittles
chocolate.
over M&Ms.
If you give a dog enough chocolate, like a whole shitload of chocolate, it'll die. It'll fuck its stomach up.
Yeah,
They
it's
can't
got
digest that
theobromine
shit.
in there. That's what
Where
causes them to die.
a pig can digest the chocolate. They have no problem with that. A dog doesn't, because a dog can't digest.
Cats can't have chocolate either.
They get some chocolate in the garbage, they'll have a heart attack.
Same
Dogs,
thing with
cats.
grapes. Dogs cannot eat grapes.
Yeah, there's
Or
hella shit
raisins.
dogs can't eat. Like there's nothing a pig can't eat, but they're smart enough to know like the can is not food and shit like that.
It depends on the breed, I suppose, because I've seen some, dogs eat a lot of shit, even chocolates. Depends on the breed you're dealing with. So I wouldn't be generalizing all dogs in one basket.
Pigs are
Yeah.
smart enough because their nose. They have they're like a dog. They got a good nose. They can smell, but they're also like bigger brains, so they can figure shit out. They can find truffles. That's what they do in like there's I think in Texas and in some places in the Midwest they do that. They take pigs out and the pigs find the truffles
Yeah.
and dig them up.
Yeah. That's because pigs are hella smart, man.
Yeah, they're pretty smart animals,
I kind of feel bad for eating pigs.
but they're animals that eat other animals. That's why it's not the healthiest animal to eat.
Did you guys know we had bacon, halal bacon here in Pakistan?
Is it made of turkey?
Yeah, it's made of turkey. Some is made of chicken. We also have beef.
See, there you go. Turkey bacon's pretty good. Cows have like 6 stomachs, so they filter stuff better.
But cows are halal.
Yeah, they're halal. Yeah, we drink a lot of stuff. Yeah,
cows
it's halal.
Cows aren't halal there.
They are halal. We eat a lot of cows. Yeah, we eat beef.
They're not Hindu halal.
Yeah, the Hindus don't
like
eating. They don't eat the cows. They consider it sacred.
I heard that some people, some Hindus, will bathe in cow pee as a form of purification.
That's
I thought that was interesting.
That's
Very
racist.
fascinating. It's not
That's
racist.
racist. That's racist.
Hindus,
it's not racist.
Hindus are not a race.
I'm gonna issue a formal apology to the people in India watching this shit.
No, it's a ritual, bro. They won't take offense to it. It's a ritual. They take pride in it. It's a ritual. They take pride in it. So they won't be offended by that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm half brown, so I can't offend brown people.
I know.
Yeah.
But but I'm still thinking about what would happen if Christopher Columbus came to the real India. Still thinking about that. Christopher Columbus came to the real India. What would happen?
Hey, if Christopher Columbus came to the real India, all your fucking 7-Elevens would have been operated by white people.
Oh my god. What is the connection there? What?
And what about the US as if we know today? The US we know as of today would be mostly consisting of black people. It would be like real country of black people, and so Africa and US would be on one side.
Yeah. As
it would be a black nation. It would be a black nation, while the white people would be in our country, in the subcontinent. So the white people and the brown people would, I hope they would be living in harmony. I hope so, though I don't know what would happen. I would love to see a simulation that plays out what would happen.
See a simulation like that too.
The Portuguese found India. Christopher Columbus went too far. And the Portuguese said, no, that's not India.
Because we had the Mughals, right? The Mughals were like, don't ever try to come near us. Like, they were like the most vicious forces in the entire world. The Mughals. They come from the lineage of Mongols, right? The Mongols, they're like the vicious of all, Genghis Khan, the guy was ferocious. And so from there you come to the Mughal Empire. That's like, that span over the whole entire subcontinent. They were there until the Mughal Empire decided to decline. The East India Company came over, and they thought of it like, as they are destabilizing, the biggest empire is destabilizing, let's try capture their cities. In trying to, what they came there was for spices. They were like, hey bro, we just want the spices and we will leave. But what ended up coming was that they started deploying their armies stuff, and
that's the Portuguese. That's the Portuguese. The Spanish wanted guns. because they kicked off. They beat the Muslims out of Spain, and that's what they said because of the guns. And they said we're gonna go get more guns from India. And Christopher Columbus said, "I know a faster way to India. We'll just sail west. We don't have to sail around Africa like we're used to, or go through the Moguls and shit like that. Go through the Muslims." Because they're not going to sell us guns if we do that, because they already know what happened in Spain. So we got to find a new route. Well, the Portuguese, they went the original route, and they went to India, and the Indians say, "Get the fuck out of here. You don't have anything we want."
Mm-hmm.
That's what you guys got to watch. There's a channel on YouTube called
Bonnie
History.
Harris.
Well, it's called Crash Course History.
Crash
And it
Course
talks
History.
about that, because the Portuguese went to Africa. And it wasn't like the Portuguese were poor and the Africans were rich. And so they started intermarrying and shit to get more wealth. And then eventually, right, as the Portuguese Empire grew, they became wealthy and they decided, hey, we're going to subjugate Africa. And they didn't work. Like they tried to find places to subjugate and they didn't succeed. Like in Somalia, they didn't work. They got kicked out of Somalia. They got kicked out of India. So they found a place on the other side. They found a rival faction, and then they created a colony.
Belgians. You forgot about Belgians. The Belgians were also quite. They were the biggest Belgians, especially the King Leopold II.
That's way later, though. No, but originally the Spanish, like with Christopher Columbus was the first, but his goal was to go to India via a faster route. Like he could sail across the Atlantic to India, and he didn't get to India. But when he came back, he said, "Yeah, we're in India, and we got all this shit from India, like tobacco and bow and arrows and shit." And the Portuguese simultaneously said, "No, we gotta get to India," and they had the intention of trading like spices and textiles and
because the Muslim civilization were quite of the richest people in the entire world at the time. Like they had all the riches, they were the fancy people of that time.
Yeah, they had different goals. The Spanish goal was to be the most Catholic nation, so they were like on Catholic. They're gonna kick the Muslims out of everywhere and restore the Roman Empire. But the Portuguese were just trying to grow, so that they were willing. They went down to Africa. They went to India. They went to Japan. They went to China.
Mm-hmm.
The Spanish were originally just trying to buy more guns so they could beat the Muslims.
Guys, I'm gonna sign off. I gotta eat my breakfast. Ramen noodles with MSG.
Yeah. Yeah, don't eat what Taylor eats, otherwise you'll get the poop cough.
You don't get the poop cough from spicy ramens. What are you talking about?
I'm gonna add in some green chilies. I'm gonna add some green chilies with ramen. I don't know if that's gonna ruin the taste or not. I like green chilies with my food, so green chilies, MSG, yeah.
All right, shall we call an end to the stream? Because I'm going to go play Halo.
Yeah, it's 11 p.m. It's 11 p.m. here. Look it. Hey, Private Wars is on the West Coast with us.
Hey, what's up, Private Wars? Hello. Thank you for commenting and staying on and watching us, Private Wars and Young Mo. Thank you for hanging out with us, even though you didn't get to, dig into anybody too deep. I'm glad that you came and hung out
Young Mo's on the West Coast of Asia.
Yeah, Young Mo's on the opposite side of the world. Like, I bet if I dug down right now, I'd end up in Young Mo's living room. And
Young Mo's over there in Western India.
Southeast Asia, Pakistan, not India.
Western India.
Not Western. Bro, but by the way, a very quick thing, right? So it's a tidbit. The tidbit is like the India word comes from River Indus, the Indus River. And really, the Indus River flows in Pakistan. So technically, Pakistan is India.
Oh.
Yeah, technically, you're Western India.
It's actually the Pakistan. That's the real India. And the other side of the India that we know of today isn't the real India, because that wasn't really specifically the India. Because the Indus civilization came up from the Indus River, and that flows in Pakistan, not in India.
Yes. So where's East Pakistan is like Bangladesh, right?
Yeah, it used to be our. That's the one beauty of Pakistan, that Pakistan was like two countries, right? That they were at one side of the different, like I think 1,200 kilometers away from the real Pakistan. 1,200 kilometers away
Yeah.
from the real Pakistan.
You know anybody over there in Bangladesh?
Yeah, I know a lot of people. I know a lot of women from.
Yeah, they must. I don't know how that works. But yeah, Private Wars. We live every Saturday and Wednesday, and we're gonna be doing stuff throughout the. I gotta do some appearances because I've asked for a lot of favors, and Pukov's gonna be on the Preacher's channel on Monday.
Bet I am.
I used to play Halo too. I love the racing games. Whatever racing thing I got on, I love playing racing games. I used
Yeah,
to play Need for Speed. Need for Speed.
So you're apparently in the same time zone as us. So we're 8 p.m. Wednesday and Saturday.
Cool. Have you played Need for Speed?
Of course I have. Oh my gosh, Need for Speed Underground? That was my jam. To the window, to the wall.
Same.
Yeah, of course.
So you like Halo?
That's where I learned most of the songs that I know are popular or were popular then from that playlist. But yeah, I exclusively play Halo 5 now. Only Halo 5. My soul has completely rotted. And I'm ready
Halo
to.
Infinite.
What's that?
Oh, how's Halo Infinite?
So Infinite 343 made a lot of amazing promises to its constituency, to the gamership. Years before it came out, right? Hyped everyone up. There was all these promises like split screen, more like lots and lots of maps and things like that, and like only 25% of what was promised has been delivered. There's a lot of changes to the timeline in development. If you go online and play multiplayer on Infinite, you will be met with excessively long wait times, a limited number of maps, and a severely steep learning curve as far as the gamership goes.
Mm-hmm.
But Halo 5,
Because
it's a trash game. It sucks, but I enjoy it because it's a finished game. That's all I have. That's all
Halo's just
I
Doom
was
where you
kind
can
of
drive a car.
What?
Just Doom.
Yeah,
Doom,
it's true. It's Doom in a
but
spaceship, basically.
It's a Doom with a
I
car.
prefer Rainbow
No,
Siege over anything, like Rainbow Siege or Call of Duty. I was hooked up to Rainbow Siege 5 in the
oh yeah.
like Corona days,
Hmm.
lockdown days. I used to play a lot of Rainbow Siege. I was hooked up to it.
Hell yeah, I've heard some. It's a fun game for people. I've never played it.
Multiplayer. Yes, if you good at, like, you got a lot of friends circles, you can play it. Good amount of friends.
Hell yeah. All right, Tay Tay, are you ready to?
All right, let's run it. We're done.
Sweet.
Enjoy. I love you all. Don't be fucking dick eating and shit, or eating a bag of dicks, or bag of vaginas. If you're, a woman or some shit. I don't know, or one of them they thems and shit. I have no idea. But anyway, don't be drawn. I'm out.